Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
Trice, pickpocketed by Mitchell. In the blink of an eye, they go the other way. Butler converts.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Over the middle, he has Ebner in for a touchdown.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
After winning the Big 12 regular season championship on Tuesday, oh my, a hammer from Butler.
Have you downloaded the SicEm365 Radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play.
Here goes Mitchell. Oh, what a pass! Driving off that baseline, Maceo Teague.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Stick your head in a tank of gasoline and light it with a match. And even before that, make sure you buckle up your seatbelts. We're about to go full throttle. Hope you have had a good day so far. We're going to hear from ESPN and former Kentucky star LaFonso Ellis at 3:05. Rumors tell us that he is the president of the Matthew Meyer fan club. Also today, Danny Manning, the great Danny Manning, 1988 national champion, carried KU on his back. Naismith Hall of Fame basketball player. He's going to join us today thanks to Mueller Sports Medicine. Now, on the set today, you see a box that's Mueller Sports Medicine. Those are knee braces. You can find them at Walmart and also at Walgreens. And we'll have Danny Manning today on the show at 3:30. Then Craig and Grayson are going to head to Baylor football practice. They have an open window at around 3:40. Come back around 4:15 or so. And then just kind of let us know. Maybe there's something or two that they saw. At around 5:40, there's an open interview session with Dave Aranda and selected players. Tomorrow, Ron Roberts, Jeff Grimes on Saturday, so we'll have that today. Plus, we'll hear from Kim Mulkey, Scott Drew, Maceo Teague, also John Machota of theathletic.com and the Cowboys, and Dan Luss, sports law attorney, will join us at 5:20. I don't know how else we could get to much more than that. Think about a year ago today, there was no men's or women's basketball. There was no spring drills. And today, we have all three converge at one time.
Yeah, it's hectic. It's very hectic. I like it. It's good. It feels like a little bit of normalcy again.
It does. Hectic, I think, is almost like it means I love it. It's the energy. Craig, are you just excited about the chance you get to watch a practice live for the first time in what seemed like it's been 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be cool to see. It's going to be great just to be out there. I said it on the podcast earlier today. I haven't seen Dave Aranda in person since he was introduced,
Wow.
which was, I mean, when else would I was going to see him?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no media sessions. There's no the games weren't post-game in-person interviews. I mean, I don't work at Baylor, so I have no reason to see Dave Aranda. So I haven't seen him since he was introduced, and that's weird. That's odd that he's entering year 2. But, yeah, there's been a lot of changes, and we'll have a full month of, spring ball to kind of see what they're able to do and, who does what and what names emerge and all of that. But, it's an exciting time.
So we'll have all of that coverage. Baylor has opened up access. And, oh, by the way, that's kind of something you got to give Taylor Bryan a ton of credit, because sometimes it depends on the coaching staff how much access there is to practice. There's always been great access when it was Art Browse or Matt Rule, and there's times when you tighten it up a little bit as well. But we do have a chance to go actually visit and watch a little practice, and then maybe going through like stretching and even individual workouts, and then eventually the players or coaches. Today, Dave Aranda. Tomorrow, defensive coordinator Ron Roberts. On Saturday, Jeff Grimes, the offensive coordinator. We're now joined by LaFonso Ellis, Kentucky great, ESPN, and president of the Matthew Meyer fan club, is what we've been told by Seth Greenberg. He joins us on SicEm365 Radio. Is that true, LaFonso, about you and Matthew Meyer?
I've been in on Matt Meyer from the first day I saw him play, absolutely. And it's challenging for me these days, coming from the generation of NBA that I did. I had the privilege of playing from 92 to 2003. Tough for me to evaluate talent as to who could fit, who not. But as we go to more of this, what's quote-unquote positionless basketball, where you have multiple guys on the floor, 1 through 5, who can handle the basketball, who can play in pick and roll situations, who can initiate the offense. Matt Meyer at 6'9", 6'10", his ability to be able to do this. I mean, think about that. We've seen him in the postseason now in the NCAA tournament. He's the guy ripping it off the glass, bringing it up the floor, getting them in middle ball screen situations and making good reads, and his ability to be able to shoot it from anywhere on the floor and be able to drive it to the basket against taller players and finish. I think he's just going to get that much better. And having a defensive mindset coming out of the Baylor system with Scott Drew, I think is going to help him be a pro. I forecast him as a first rounder and possibly in the middle of the first round, depending on whether he stays or not.
LaFonso Ellis, Notre Dame great. I was not paying attention. I apologize for you off the top of that. I forgot. Not about Notre Dame, but I just went blank with Kentucky. LaFonso.
Oh, no worries. No worries. We have a rule. We have a rule in my family that if you know what someone is saying, you don't correct them.
Oh. I love it. So you've seen Baylor kind of tweak what they were doing after they had been in the pause. They had the games. They won a couple of games they had to win the Big 12 title. Then they didn't quite have it in the tournament, and Oklahoma State's very good. Your thoughts about how much they have perhaps gotten back to close to normal after what they did the first weekend in the tournament?
I think a bit of it was more psychological because a lot of the guys actually had the virus, and from what we've learned from NBA star for the Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum, and some people, other athletes that I've known who've had it, it does have a tremendous impact on your lungs' ability to be able to take in and process oxygen. And so I didn't think it was alarming necessarily that they didn't play as well coming out of the pause. But I thought Scott was smart in trying to schedule a lot of games to try to get their legs and to get their cardio conditioning back into place that they could play a top level of defense as we've seen them play. And what's interesting about it is they didn't have a whole lot of drop-off in their shooting. And the reality is you're playing in a Big 12 that has some of the best teams in the country. And along the way, you're going to take a loss or two. And to see them bounce back from that, and I thought the big test for them was really their game against Wisconsin. Wisconsin is a team that can control the pace. They don't turn the basketball over. Demetrius Trice is a superb guard. Micah Potter, the transfer from Ohio State, is problematic because he's 6'10" and he can shoot it from the 3-point range. He can post up. And I thought Baylor did what Baylor does. They really forced their will on the game in terms of their defense, forced Wisconsin in some uncomfortable, contested late clock shots, and then were efficient in its transition game and getting out and knocking down some open threes. So I said before, Baylor was my team to win it all last year. Baylor was my preseason team to win it all this year, and I have not changed even when they were coming out of the pause.
Your thoughts on Davion Mitchell and his development from being a defensive player almost exclusively last year who could score a little bit to being a very complete player right now?
Oh, absolutely. And it speaks a lot about of Scott Drew and his staff in their development process. It speaks to, because as a former player, you do get more time with your coaches now, but it's really more about what you're able to put in on your own time. And so I got to give Davion Mitchell a lot of credit for that. I mean, we're talking about a kid, his freshman year at Auburn. You didn't have to worry about him shooting the basketball from the perimeter. I think he shot around 29% from the 3-point line, but this kid, 32% last year. This kid continued to work and work and work. We knew he could beat you off the dribble with just blow away speed to be able to get by his guy and then be able to make decisions once the secondary defender came over. What you did not expect was for him to be able to shoot the basketball from the 3-point line at the clip that he has. It'd be one thing if he was shooting 35, 36%, would be admirable from where he's come from his freshman year at Auburn. But you're talking about a guy that's shooting 46% from the 3-point line. That's one of the best in the country. So I have to salute him for the work that he's put in. And as we talked about Matthew Meyer being an NBA prospect, I think Davion Mitchell has put himself squarely in position to be a first-round pick with his ability to be able to harass a point guard up the floor for 94 feet for the entire game, his ability to be able to make good decisions in ball screen situations, shoot behind it if a guard goes under it, get in the lane and make plays for himself and his teammates. I've been really impressed with the progress and the improvement that Davion Mitchell has had.
LaFonso, Villanova up next for the Bears. They beat Winthrop and then beat the mess out of North Texas. I know this isn't the typical Villanova team that's like a 1-seed or a 2-seed, but still, a lot of pedigree, a lot of talent. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, still a very dangerous team, even playing without Colin Gillespie. But at the same time, they're playing against, in my mind, the best backcourt in the country with Jared Butler, Davion Mitchell, who we already talked about, Maceo Teague, Adam Flagler coming off the bench. I just think in a game like that, where both teams are pretty fundamentally sound, and Villanova, when they're playing at their best, they control tempo and don't turn the basketball over. I just think Baylor offensively has so many more shot makers on the floor who could go. I mean, think about this. Baylor has 5 guys that can go off for 20 on any given night. And obviously when you get 2 or 3 of the 5 doing that, they're tough enough to guard. But I just think Baylor has way too many more offensive options. If the defenses are the same, which they're not, because Baylor is a much better defensive team, if the defenses are the same, I'm still going to take Baylor because of so many more shot makers. But this will be a very tough, a very physical game, because that's just the way Villanova plays. They're very fundamentally sound. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They can play fast. They can play slow tempo. My sense is Villanova try to slow this game down to muck it up a bit and make it kind of a fist fight and a brawl. And Baylor has shown their ability not only to be able to play in the 80s and 90s, but they've shown that they're able to be able to play in slugfest, where it calls them to be disciplined in their offense, making sure they're taking good shots and getting on the offensive glass to get extra possessions. So I think it'll be a low-scoring affair, or at least Villanova wants it to be, but I still think Baylor edges it out maybe by 6.
LaFonso Ellis with us, ESPN College Game Day, part of the studio set. Seth Greenberg, obviously, as well, with the great staff of Reese Davis and Jay Billis on SicEm365 Radio. And speaking of that, is that a dream of yours? Did you ever, I know you've been a part of ESPN for over a decade as an analyst and whatever, but when that became something that added to what you were doing, to be a part of that when you were playing, I know ESPN was about 10 years old. I was 1980, 79, whatever. In 88 when you were playing at Notre Dame. Was that something you could have ever dreamed of, that one day you would be a part of that set and that show?
No, I was an accounting major in college. I had the privilege of being the 5th pick in the NBA. And I said this to several people. It's interesting because with the coverage, with ESPN's coverage of the NBA, it almost seemed like they were like distant family, if you will, because some person from ESPN in some capacity was always around our team, right? And so I took 6 years off after retiring in 2003, and then transitioned into ESPN in 2009. And the truth is, even to this day, completing my 12th season, it almost feels like I moved from what was considered distant family that's now become my close and intimate and personal family. So it seemed like a very natural transition. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity that I was given 12 years ago to be able to join the team. You mentioned some of them, Seth Greenberg, Reese Davis, Jay Billis. I worked with some of the most talented, most intelligent basketball minds in the sport just in general. And so I feel very, very blessed and grateful for being able to serve what I call the 4 letters for the last 12 years of my second career. Very thankful and very grateful.
Your draft year in 1992, I was just looking over this. That first round, and even a couple guys in the second, there were not many busts as far as guys who flamed out after a couple years in the league. You had, guys in the decade and plus in the league in that draft. You ever think about how deep that draft was?
Yeah, they compared that draft to Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley, that group's draft. Obviously, those guys have so many more Hall of Famers, but Shaquille O'Neal, Alonzo Mourning, Jim Jackson, Christian Laettner, Robert Horry, Latrell Sprewell, Anthony Peeler, you name it. All of those guys went on to have long, extended careers and quite a few NBA championships in that group that I just mentioned as well, and several All-Stars. So as we talk about ESPN and my sense of gratitude and thankfulness for the opportunity there, very grateful and thankful to God for the opportunity to be able to play in the NBA during the time that I did, when you had guys like Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, Stockton and Malone, those guys being really in their prime during that time. And then as I got older and became about their age when I first came into the league, now I'm sandwiched between the next generation of superstars with Kobe Bryant and Kevin Garnett and that whole group. So I had the privilege of competing against the best players in the world over an 11-year period, and sandwiched between two incredibly impactful generation of NBA players, and playing with some who have been impactful as well. As I mentioned before, Shaquille O'Neal and Alonzo Mourning, both have won world championships in the NBA. So very grateful for my NBA career and the time that I played.
LaFonso Ellis of ESPN College Game Day, former Notre Dame All-American.
Times or personnel, or both. And I think Scott Drew has done a tremendous job of being able to adjust on the fly to what he has available to him at the time. And you mentioned it. I mean, you're talking about a team that was primarily a zone team, and then all of a sudden, kind of almost in the early part of the season, flip it on a dime, and then all of a sudden become a very guard-oriented team without compromising their defensive integrity, switching from a zone to a man concept. And that's not an easy thing to do, just because you go from playing like areas on the floor and making sure guys don't get by you to keep them out of the middle of the floor, of course, to having to actually get up and in and defend out further on the floor, which is more real estate for an offensive player to be able to use to be able to put you in a bad spot to get by. And the way that he's been able to seamlessly make that transition to put his team not only in position to be able to win regular season and conference championships, but a team that legitimately has a chance to win a national title is just remarkable to begin with. And that Baylor story, from where that program was when Scott Drew took it over to where it is now, that's one of the best stories in all of college basketball.
LaFonso, thank you. Appreciate you being patient with me blowing up your phone. We wanted to get you on. And then when Seth Greenberg Monday told us that you are now the president of the Matthew Meyer fan club, I had to blow it up one more time. And great to have you on the show. We appreciate your time, and good luck the rest of the tournament.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And yes, love Matt Meyer.
Yes, sir.
You go, kid.
All right. LaFonso Ellis, what a great segment to start off the show, right off the top. Danny Manning comes up in about 10 minutes. College football spring drills with Baylor and Craig and Grayson's coverage there. Grayson just walked out the door. We'll have both of them back with us around 4:15. Craig's not going anywhere yet. And then on top of that, we hear from Kim Mulkey as the Lady Bears are in the Sweet 16 yet again. We'll hear from Macy O'Teague and Scott Drew Paul at the next segment. And then also today, Cowboys talk with John Machota. And Ndamukong Suh, by the way, Paul, off the table. Mm-hmm. Tampa Bay has re-signed him. And on top of that, we'll hear from Dan Luss, sports law, on what's going on with Deshaun Watson and Supreme Court having their hearings tomorrow to discuss name, image, and not tomorrow, but next week, name, image, and likeness as well. And that's just part of what we have. We'll hear maybe a little bit from Dave Aranda by the end of the show from their post-practice today as well. Anything from LaFonso Ellis, or you want to take a break here, come back with Baylor and their comments from earlier today.
Yeah, because that could lead nicely into Danny Manning.
All right.
We'll have to navigate the Zoom with him. So.
All right, we'll do that. All right, it's Armstrong Sims running the mothership, the genius also. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak, and David Smoak, and this is SicEm365 Radio.
March means it's time to celebrate 22 years of serving Waco and Central Texas with big savings on all cars and trucks on the lot at Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. All 2021 Buicks have deep discounts. You can save $4,500 on a 2021 Buick Encore, save $3,500 on a 2021 Buick Encore GX, or save $3,500 on a 2021 Buick Envision. You can also save $6,000 off a 2021 Buick Enclave, or qualified buyers can get 0% financing for 72 months. If you want the best truck, then you want a GMC. So find savings like $8,000 off a 2021 GMC Sierra, or save $6,500 off 2021 GMC Acadias, or 2021 GMC Terrains. And Richard Carr Motors is your local family dealer who wants to earn your business with great prices, free oil changes with a new purchase, and priority warranty service on all vehicles purchased. So come by their clean and disinfected showroom to take a test drive or let them bring the test drive to you. And right now it's the big basketball tournament, so come on by the dealership and take a shot to win additional prizes. It's the big 22-year anniversary sales event going on now at Richard Carr.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol.
Buy and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasonings, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
Grayson and Craig are on their way to Simpson Athletic Department building, Simpson Hires, and we'll be there for practice. There's going to be an open window session as Baylor has begun their spring drills after not having any last year. A lot of teams didn't. They'll both be back on the set with us, and Grayson here in the studio and Craig on the set around 4:15 to just, anything after not having a chance to watch practice for almost a year. Also, Danny Manning, the great Danny Manning, Kansas All-American, national champion, played a long time in the NBA. Thanks to Mueller Sports Medicine. This is a knee brace. You can get it at Walmart and also at Walgreens. I got mine at Walgreens. We'll discuss that as well with Danny Manning, who played a long, long time. He's also was the one when the Kansas AD job popped up with Jeff Long. He said, hey, I'm interested in trying to help my alma mater. And I think he's also been involved in making sure that he's heard at Kansas as well. Now, Baylor men's basketball today, they had their first off-day media session since they won. And I know that they've been in Indianapolis for a while, but they are now in the Sweet 16. And Villanova's next. Maceo Teague, I was trying to get him, and it's amazing to me, the recollection off the top of his head about actual dates of the calendar when they were in that pause, Paul, remember?
Yeah.
Listen to Maceo Teague rattling off dates, not like, twice a week, dates on their calendar of practice and games, and then a couple of follow-up questions, and then we'll hear from Villanova head coach Jay Wright on his thoughts of Baylor and their guards.
Maceo, has the fact that you guys have not had the travel since you finally got to Indianapolis from Kansas City, allowed to practice and practice again this week, has that helped get you back to what the rhythm you seem to be in right now as a team?
I wouldn't say that the fact that we're not traveling. I would just say it's just practicing. We had a 21-day pause. We practiced one time before we had a game day with Iowa State. Then we played the 23rd, we played the 25th, the 27th. So you don't really practice after you play a game if you have another game coming up. Then we played March 2nd. I think we were off on the 28th. Then it was a light practice on March 1st, played the 2nd, played the 4th, played the 7th. And, our first real practice was probably March 9th, I think, and the Big 12 tournament started March 12th. Or no, it started March 11th, I think, for us. So, we didn't really have much time to go over things and build our chemistry back up after pausing for 3 weeks.
You guys have been able to have some other things outside of basketball to just kind of keep you loose. How much fun has some of that been to just kind of have that camaraderie and chemistry on this long trip?
It's been really fun. We've been playing a lot of games, played Uno, played Connect Four the other night. We got cornhole in there, and it's just been fun playing with guys in our meeting room and our meeting space.
All right, so that's Maceo Teague from earlier today. Scott Drew was there as well, and we'll have some more of that as the week goes on, and more coverage from Indianapolis. I'll be there on Friday from coverage there, and then also at the game Saturday against Villanova. Jay Wright. Paul, this guy's a hell of a coach, won 2 of the last 4 national titles. There was that stat I told you about. When they get the Sweet 16, that usually means they go to the Final Four. There's that stat as well. The thing about Jay Wright is he's the best-dressed man maybe in college basketball.
Oh, yeah. Well, look.
And so they're not wearing suits anymore.
One, he's half Italian. So,
okay. There you go.
That's going to give him a leg up. And 2, look, he's a coach in Philadelphia at a fancy, Catholic university. You got to look good.
Yeah, he does look good. He's a hell of a coach.
Somebody did ask Coach Drew about the casual, and he was like, well, we'll just do, whatever everybody wants to do. But you can tell every coach. Leonard Hamilton, they asked him, he's like, yeah, I walk around a lot. I want to wear sweats. I don't want to wear a suit.
It's almost like a coaching convention that they're able to wear what they would wear then on the on court side. And one more thing before we get to Danny Manning. Here is Jay Wright, Villanova head coach, on the guards of Baylor, and Villanova overcoming the loss of their great guard in Colin Gillespie.
I don't know. As you probably know, Aaron, different guys affect teams differently. There's probably never been a guy since we've been here, one guy that's had such an impact on a team in that year. Colin is our leader on the court, off the court. He's the only guy that played in the national championship game in 18. He and Demir Cosby Roundtree, who's out also for the season, but he just brought so much to our program. So it was devastating in how bad we all felt for him, number one. Number two, we were all, myself included, we were all just so comfortable with him leading the way for us in everything we did. I would consult with him about decisions we'd make about travel, about days off. He was such a big part of it. So it took us a while. But I think that Jeremiah Robinson Earl and Jermaine Samuels have really stepped up and just kind of taken over the leadership of this team. And it's pretty impressive to watch.
That's Jay Wright of Villanova. They have won 2 of the last 4. Of course, last year there was none. We are now joined by Kansas great All-American national champion Danny Manning joins us thanks to Mueller Sports Medicine. SicEm365 Radio. Danny Manning joins us on Zoom, and we appreciate your time, Danny, very much. Every year when when the March Madness and the tournaments begin, do you immediately reflect back to 88, or are there other memories that you reflect back to as well?
Yes, I reflect back to 1988 every time the NCAA tournament rolls around, but I also reflect back to 1986 when we got to the Final Four, and it was not such a good showing for me in particular individually or our team, and we lost in the first game of the Final Four. So that's a memory that helped prepare me for 1988. But every time the Final Four rolls around, I do feel very fortunate and blessed to have experienced the Final Four and to been a part of March Madness, and it's always a great time. It's the second best time of the year. The first best time of the year is when the season starts, and this is the second best time of the year at the final, at the end, when it all comes to a head, and there's a champion that's being crowned.
You guys were so good in 1988. Had you not had the great NBA career and the coaching career that you've had and everything that's happened, could you kind of have been like, look, at least I had 1988 because that year was so great for Kansas?
Well, absolutely. I think when you're a player, and the era that I grew up in, it was high school, and then you would go right to, if you were lucky, playing college sports. And I was able to experience that. I played for a great coach in Larry Brown, who made me a better person, made me a better player. And he did that for everybody that was on his team. And so for us to get to the biggest stage in college basketball, which was being played 30 minutes away from our college campus, to end our senior years on that note, that's a story. That's a storybook ending. That's something that you're right. That's a fairy tale. So I feel extremely fortunate and blessed to have experienced that with my teammates and all the fans from Jayhawk Nation, which for us was just a wonderful memory and something that we'll always reflect back on very fondly.
You guys were good, and Oklahoma was really, really good, Danny, in 88. Obviously, they had been a team that a lot of people thought might win it all. Did you feel, I know others have to make plays, but did you almost feel like you helped will that team that year to a championship?
You know, for us, that year was a unique year in the sense of this. The teams that we played at the end of our tournament run, we played during the regular season. We played Oklahoma. You know, we played Duke earlier. We played K-State, and all those teams beat us. And after every game that we played throughout the course of that year, to take you back, at one point we were like 12-8. And we're talking about hopefully getting an NIT home game. That's the news that was circulating around our program. So Coach Brown designs a system that we get successful in and we all buy in and understand. But every time we lost a game, we'd go sit in Coach Brown's office and we would watch that film. And back then it was the old school tape, you know, the click, 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 reverse, click, 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 click. And so we're sitting in there, and every time something is being pointed out, you know, we can see it. We're like, well, if we correct this, if we tighten this up, if we get better in this category, next time we play this team, it could be a different outcome. And so for us, those teams that we played down the stretch, we had a level of familiarity with them in terms of not learning a whole new scouting report, not having to learn personnel and plays to a certain extent, because we had a level of comfort knowing that we experienced that type of play before. So that was something that was huge for us. And then also, we felt comfortable. We felt loose. We were just out playing with house money. There was no pressure on us at all, so to speak, other than trying to go out and play hard for the fans that we had there and for our teammates. And for us, it worked out well. You know, 50-50 at halftime was, you know, you look back on that, it's like 50-50 at halftime. Wow. And it was fun. And, you know, like I said, we feel very fortunate to come away with the win and be a part of the national championship scene when people talk about March Madness.
Much to get to with Danny Manning, including his thoughts about Baylor, Scott Drew, and what they're doing. In the background of Danny and on our set, you see this box. It's a box with Mueller Sports Medicine's knee brace. Don't be sidelined with knee pain. There's always a way to get relief with Mueller Sports Medicine for anyone, not just athletes, but everybody with knee pain. You have one right behind you, Danny. I know you know what it does for you. There's the one with us on the set. How important has that knee brace, and also what Mueller Sports Medicine has meant to you?
The knee brace is extremely important to me. I've gone through 3 ACLs throughout my career as an NBA player, and the brace isn't just for athletes, as you mentioned. If you're dealing with any type of knee pain at work while you're out on a walk, a bike ride, a workout, anytime you want to lessen the pain in your knee, you can always get the support and stability you need with the Mueller Sports Medicine knee brace. And they're available at Walmart and Walgreens. And this is for the weekend warriors. I've become a weekend warrior now. I don't move around too much when I play, but when I go out there and get up some shots and do anything where I'm a little bit more active than what I'm normally doing at this point in my career, my life, I enjoy having the Mueller products because it makes me feel better the following day. And I think as a weekend warrior, that's something that's extremely important. And Mueller helps you in that category without question feel better the following day after you play, and great support when you are out there doing what you want to do on the sports field.
Danny, Kansas, just got bounced from the tournament the other night and in a rough night. But in many ways, was this one of Bill Self's best coaching jobs, given that the depth that he usually has on that team wasn't there? They had to navigate through some injuries early on, and he didn't really have the full team until the last couple weeks before the tournament.
This was one of Coach Self's best coaching jobs in their staff. I mean, when you look at the Kansas team and how they started out the year, hit some rough patches, and to end up being a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament, I thought that was a tremendous job by Coach Self. And, kudos to USC. I was there for the second half of that ball game, and they were better. They played better. They executed better. Evan Mobley is very special, and this will probably be the only NCAA tournament he plays in. And his brother was outstanding that game, Isaiah, the way he shot the basketball and made plays. And this is a very talented team. They're long, they're athletic, they can make shots. I think their guard play gives me a little bit of concern in regards to how deep they are. Edey and Anderson are their guards that handle the ball the majority of the time. So those guys have to maintain the type of aggressiveness, but also playmaking thoughts that they had against Kansas. But they're a very, very tough team. And, that Oregon-USC matchup is going to be a fun one to see when you talk about a 6-7 matchup.
Danny, what are your thoughts of what you've seen with Baylor? Kansas got them in Lawrence, but they get a lot of people in Lawrence. Baylor has obviously become one of the elite programs in college basketball. They have a hell of a team. What do you see from them?
They have the best backcourt in the country. I think, you look at Butler, and I think Butler, hands down, should have been at least co-player of the year in all media outlets and all coaches outlet, player, whoever's voting. That young man should have been at very least co-player of the year in the Big 12 because of the year that Baylor's had, because of the impact that he's had. Mitchell is a tremendous defender. He can also score the ball. Teague is talented. I think that's the best backcourt, but I think the Zags have the best team. So Scott Drew has done a tremendous job with his program, with his team. And one of my favorite players on that Baylor team is Mark Vidal, because he's the guy who does all the dirty work. He brings his hard hat every day. He comes in and he punches the clock, doing all the little things that don't get recognized on the stat sheet a lot of times, but something that you need for your team to go far and go on deep runs. So this is a team that is very talented. They play well together, and I've enjoyed watching them play. And I think Coach Drew and his staff have done a tremendous job with their team this year.
Mueller Sports Medicine, the leader in sports medicine for 60 years. For more information, go to MuellerSportsMed.com. Danny Manning with us on SicEm365 Radio. Danny Manning, All-American, national champion, longtime NBA player as well with us on SicEm365.
Danny, the AD job is open at your alma mater. Are you going to throw your hat in the ring for that?
I would love to be involved with that. And just based upon my love and passion that I have for KU, what KU has meant to me and my teammates and all the young men and young people that I've come across when I was there, yeah, I would love to be involved. But you know what? There's so many different things that go into it, and I'm just looking forward to seeing our program continue to thrive and be successful across the board in all sports.
Danny, when you have an alma mater like that, and obviously something that means a lot to you and what you mean as well to them, when you see them go through struggles or there's some things that pop up, how much does that hurt? Because everybody has an alma mater at some point or another that has had to go through some tough times no matter what.
Well, you always feel the love and passion for a place that you've invested so much in, but they also have invested a lot in you to help you on your journey. And at times it's embarrassing at times when certain things pop up that aren't a good look, that put your love university in a bad light. And, certainly we've hit some dark spots recently, and, we're going to come out of it fine, but we like to get out of it a lot sooner than later, so to speak. So, we understand that it happens at a lot of different places, and we're looking forward to the many bright days ahead in Kansas athletic future.
Danny, if you don't mind, we're going to put up a picture of that Sports Illustrated "Oh, Danny Boy" SI cover when you led the Jayhawks to the national title. How cool was that to see you on the front cover like that?
That was really cool, just from the standpoint of growing up. I had a chance to, you see all those Sports Illustrated covers. You see Muhammad Ali on the covers. You see Sugar Ray Leonard and all the other wonderful sports icons. And to be able to see a pitcher in a Kansas uniform playing at the Final Four was a very rewarding but extremely humbling experience to see it on the newsstands back then. There are no newsstands around now, but walking into the different bookstores and things of that nature and seeing that cover will always make me feel very fortunate, blessed, and happy that I could experience something along that magnitude.
Danny, I do have something to confess. At the Big 12 tournament, and I want to say it's 2011, Baylor had played, and I did the post-game media, and I went back out and sat in a seat on press row, and then you and another assistant coach came and sat down next to me, and I had this kind of geeked out moment like, oh, my God, hey, that's Danny Manning right there. And I eavesdropped on your conversation of watching the next game of you guys talking about the team you were scouting. I might have been Oklahoma State, I want to say, that you guys were playing, and I learned more about basketball in that 30 minutes of you guys sitting there than maybe in my whole life watching it. It was unbelievable. It was great.
Thank you. I mean, you know what? I mean, it's when you get to the conference tournament, you have such a good book on all the schools that you played throughout the regular season, and now you're looking to see what tweaks the coaches are coming out of timeouts with, what different plays and tweaks to the certain plays that they've been running throughout the course of the year. And so for us, we sit there, it's, at that point in time, we weren't as heavy into the analytical scene as what it is right now. But, we were charting the plays and things of that nature and trying to make sure we had a good book to go back to Coach Self with when we prepared the team for that next game.
Danny, I know we appreciate you. Mueller Sports Medicine. Again, if you have any kind of knee pain, you see the box over Danny's right shoulder and also the box here on the set. You get it at Walgreens or Walmart. If you have knee pain, you don't have to be a pro athlete or a collegiate athlete or you could be anybody. The Weekend Warrior, as even Danny mentioned, you can get this knee brace. It is very simple. I went over to Walgreens and picked one up for the show today as well, and use it if, in fact, when it's necessary. So, again, Danny, thank you so much. The memories of 1988, but also you had a long career. I mean, you played for, 13 to 15 years in the NBA? That's a long time. How much of a journey was that for you to wrap this up?
For me, playing in the NBA was the ultimate goal, the ultimate level of basketball. Very fortunate and blessed to be there. I went through 3 ACLs in 15 years. I had some great doctors and great therapists, played for some really, really good coaches, Hall of Fame coaches that helped prepare me in regards to my coaching aspect. And, I just feel blessed. I feel humbled to have played that long. My father played in the NBA and played in the ABA. And so to be able to follow in his footsteps, for me is a dream come true.
Was it hard to coach because of how talented and gifted you were as a player? Was that difficult?
No, it was not difficult because 26 games into my rookie year, I blew my knee out.
Right.
And I had to learn to adapt. I had to learn to figure out different things. I lost some of my athleticism. I lost some of my quickness. I lost some of my jumping ability. And so for me to overcome that, I had to think more like a coach. I had to have great anticipation. But in order to have that anticipation, I had to know what my opponents were going to do. And so studying my opponents became something that I did on a regular basis. I had an East Coast book. I had a West Coast conference book where I would study all my opponents and have a good feel and understanding of their range, their dominant hand, if they're 1 bounce, 2 bounce, 3 bounce, to change of directions and all those types of things. And so that's what gave me a chance to continue to compete at a high level, is going into the coaching aspect in preparation to go out on the court.
Danny, it's a pleasure, man. It's great to have you today. We appreciate you so much for being a part of the show.
Thank you very much, and best of luck to you guys.
That's Danny Manning, the great Danny Manning. 1988, put a team on his back, All-American, national champion. Incredible. Ed Manning, his father, played and obviously has been in the coaching profession as well. And through his hat, I saw a couple of tweets when Jeff Long was ushered out that he said he'd want to be a part of that. Mueller Sports Medicine. Since 1959, Kurt Mueller, the founder, 60 years. Sports medicine. So if you have a knee issue, a pain, a tweak, something that doesn't feel right, and you want something to stabilize it, to make it feel a little bit better, more confidence, no matter if you're an athlete or someone that just works out on your own and a weekend warrior, Mueller Sports Medicine, you don't have to deal with knee pain. Mueller Sports Medicine can help you out. Walgreens and also at Walmart. And also a special thanks to our great friend Chris Visser for helping set that up as well.
You ever do what I did to Danny Manning at a basketball game?
There was an NBA scout that I bothered the living heck out of him at a Baylor home game. Remember, the scouts would get that. This is when we moved to the part which was on what is the home side second half. And there was an NBA scout, and he was with the Mavericks, and I wish I could remember his name, former player, and I just bothered the heck out of him. He gave me his number. I texted him. It wasn't to stalk him. I was learning. Yeah. I wanted to soak that into my head.
I didn't bother. We had exchanged some pleasantries. Yeah. Oh, hey, you doing? Yeah. Danny Manning, and I thought, oh, cool, it's Danny Manning. And then I just sat there, and because nobody else was sitting around me, because it was the early part of that second game where everybody's still back in the media room, and I'd done what I needed to do, so I just went back out there. I mean, you were with me at that time. I don't know where you were, but it was the first half of this game that Baylor wasn't in, and so I was just going to sit there and watch it.
Yeah, there's a lot of spacious areas.
And so everybody was back there, so I went and sat down in the front row, and Danny Manning and the other coach were sitting there talking, and I'm just sitting there like, oh man, they're really, and it was Travis Ford was the coach at Oklahoma State then, and they were everything he was doing, I was like, man, I never even thought about some of that stuff.
You know what? You know how you can educate yourself? All of us can learn. You listen. If you sometimes listen, you can learn a lot, and we all need to get better at that. I know I have to admit that as well. Thanks to Danny Manning, thanks to our great friend Chris Visser, and thanks to Mueller Sports Medicine. When we come back, a couple of notes, NFL notes. Ndamukong Suh is not now on the open market, and there's a couple of other NFL notes as well, including the Cowboys and what is the future with Aldon Smith. That's next. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco, a hidden gem, and it is really a gem. You hear me talking about it all the time. Steve Chapman, yesterday, as a matter of fact, just sent me a list of beers that are coming in for the spring. This is their new stuff that's coming through. Like Everything Rhymes with Orange, Angry Axe IPA, Sasquatch Imperial, that's probably a stout, Hoppenheimer, Half-Life, Fallout, Black Matter, 10 nanoseconds, Royal Blood, that's an orange flavored beer, Hops Against Humanity, Haze Wizard, tons of stuff they've got coming through. I should have just sent this over to Armstrong to have him put it on the screen, and I might do that for the next spot just because you can see all the different things that they have coming through. And if you're a craft beer fan, Riverbend Liquor and Wine is the place to go. Great walk-in fridge. And look, if you're not a craft beer fan, if you're a fan of wine, tons of wine. If you're a fan of whiskey, tons of whiskey. Vodka, gin, you name it, they've got it. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive, North 19th Street. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Dodge Journey is the best value available in third-row seating vehicles on the market. Allen Samuels President's Day event is going on now with deals on the 2020 Dodge Journey. Values up to $6,500 or 0% for 72 months, plus $2,000 in combo cash. Or check out the 2020 Jeep Renegade Latitude with total values of $6,750 or 0% for 72 months, plus $2,500 in combo cash. Located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco, Allen Samuels is your friend in the car business. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs. Even offering financing if that's needed, everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
That was very cool. I'll give you a little bit of insight. When we began SicEm365 Radio, which was a year ago yesterday, when it was announced that we would be doing this show, Craig, Paul, and me, we would be doing the show. Colt put it up on Twitter and had a press release from Brian Ashley. Brian's wife does a great job with a lot of the press releases and also with Colt. We had nothing as far as there was surely not this. This opened up in September. I didn't even know who Armstrong was. And Armstrong Sims is like really 2 last names. But thank God we got to know him. It could be 2 first names too.
I thought he might maybe be on the run from the law, but I'll take him.
It's been glad. Sometimes when people are
he's in the witness protection,
leaving, fleeing Alabama to come to Texas. But in all dead seriousness, I have a list. I've got a contacts among contacts from just being in the business a long time. Chris Fisher's somebody that I got to know. His sister Leslie was sideline reporter for hundreds, it seemed like years, decades, with CBS Sports and others. And I have a list that Chris had shared with me and I had shared with him. We all of us in the business. And we had a bunch of people on the show those first few weeks. We had no games, nothing. And so Chris Visser was one that also helped set some of that up, and he's the one that helped set us up, Danny Manning. How about the first hour? And I don't say this to like, hey, look at us. I'm saying it for you as our audience. Baylor is in the Sweet 16 in men's and women's basketball. We just had LaFonso Ellis from College Game Day, Seth Greenberg Monday, and also today, one of the great names and one of the great memories and great stories in NCAA tournament history in Danny Manning. Now, a couple of football notes. Ndamukong Suh, first of all, an offensive tackle. Wilson, what's his name? I forgot. Wilson Smith.
Yeah.
Has been re-signed by Tampa Bay. They like him quite a bit. And then Ndamukong Suh stays with Tampa Bay. I thought that had been a great fit for anybody because he's just a dominant player.
I think he can play. He can play in any defense. I mean, he's that kind of guy.
He's mobile, and he's also just a big dude inside. And then also, the Cowboys informed Aldon Smith. He's 31. He's explosive. Faded a little bit down the stretch, that they were moving on without him. Paul, you and I talked about this. This is a scheme thing?
I
or
think
is this an age thing? Or is this a money thing? All of them.
I mean, it's not like I know he's, as a vested veteran, he's guaranteed a certain amount of money, but I think it's more of a scheme thing. I think if Dan Quinn had said, look, I'd like to have him back, they'd have had him, but they brought in a young guy who they've liked for a while, who's, no great shakes as far as statistics go, and Terrell Basham, but they like him, and he's kind of going to be the backup. The other thing is it's a Randy Gregory thing too. Randy Gregory is finally there, and he started, and he played really well, and he's not going to get suspended, hopefully, and all these things that are happening. So, do you bring back Aldon Smith, or do you bring back legitimate backups, for Randy Gregory and DeMarcus Lawrence? They still need to address defensive tackle. They really do.
If Aldon Smith was a wide receiver and been productive, 31 or 27, would that have been hard for Jerry to let him walk?
Oh, yeah. But it's hard for him to let anybody walk. I mean, it is. But
here's the thing. Their defense has been last year's defense was record-breaking bad. Mm-hmm. I understand his age, and I know he'll get more money because they gave him a second chance. But
I don't know. I kind of agree with you on, what could it hurt? Because he's going to get a one. You're only going to sign him to another 1 year deal.
So they're going to go get somebody else who's maybe on the comeback trail, right?
Like KJ Wright. But again, I think it's probably more. You ask Dan Quinn, does he fit? And if he says no, then you move on. And that's probably what it is, because you look at Keanu Neal, that's a Dan Quinn guy. Kazee played for Dan Quinn. Malik Hooker, a guy that they like and Dan Quinn likes, that they're bringing in to. So that's why I would think that most of the guys are going to be Dan Quinn guys down the stretch, and Aldon Smith may just not be, for that scheme.
Hey, when we come back in the 4 o'clock hour, Craig just sent us a text. The open access for the media, practice was running a little bit behind the first day of spring drills for Baylor football, so we'll have them eventually. But the 4 o'clock hour is somewhat open with eventually Craig and Grayson back with us to discuss what they saw, maybe a note or two if they could. A couple of text messages and more. We'll hear from Kim Mulkey. Lady Bears destroyed Virginia Tech. Now, they're a 7 seed, but I mean what Kim Mulkey said after that game about what she saw from her defense should make everyone go, what? In a more positive way. Now, yes, they have Michigan next, and then it's perhaps UConn next. So the road gets very much more difficult, but Baylor's playing, and they're mauling people. We'll see what happens this weekend in San Antonio when they do play Michigan in the Sweet 16 round. Some other notes to get to as well, and this is SicEm365 Radio. Waco Custom Meats, Waco Custom Marketplace. Customize what you eat for dinner, whether during the week or also on the weekends. If you like to go out and grill, especially with the weather the way it is, and you want to cook a steak or burgers or even sausage or chicken or pork, hey, Waco Custom Marketplace is your home for all of that. Seafood, you want to put salmon on the grill? They've got Norwegian salmon, and I'm talking about chunks about this wide, this thick, and about that long as well, and it's delicious salmon. Or maybe whatever choice of seafood you want. They have lobster tails, too, if you want the live lobster tail tank that is there. Waco Custom Marketplace is 425 Lake Air Drive. Waco Custom Marketplace with Brian Bauer and the Bauer family that run it. They've been in business for a long, long time, and they have made that into a hometown grocery store feel. Butcher shop where you get your customized meat cooked, cut, and also then there's the bakery. And yes, of course, you have the live crawfish available in 30-pound sacks for $4.25 a pound. Order by 6 o'clock today. What is it, 4 o'clock? You have 2 hours. Contact them. Go online, WacoCustomMarketplace.com. Order your 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 today. Pick it up after 2 Friday or anytime they're open on Saturday. Plus, they have specials on prime New York strip, prime ribeye steaks, prime beef fillets, and bone-in pork butt as well. It's Waco Custom Marketplace, your hometown grocery store at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Sausage wrap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue. Next in line.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717.
I see. Equal housing lender.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
For qualified buyer with 4,000 DTL. Extra dealer details.
The 22-year anniversary sales event is going on now at Richard Carr. Make your refund or stimulus even bigger when you add savings like a 2019 Buick Encore for only $169 a month, a 2018 GMC Terrain for only $208 a month, a 2018 GMC Sierra for only $374 a month. 100% credit approval is always our goal. Get here now and save during the anniversary sales event going on now at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Here they go. It almost looked like Vital was in slow motion. He was in the air so long.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Craig Smoak and Grayson Grundhafer are over at Baylor Spring Drills at practice. We'll come back in the studio at some point this hour. We'll hear from them. I'm telling you, for those two, they're like 4-year-olds on Christmas. When do you finally understand Christmas when you're a kid? How old do you have to be?
Probably
5?
3.
3 or 5, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, when my nephews were about 2, each of them kind of got that, because you get to see Santa and you read stories to them and all that stuff, and then I don't know, maybe 3. I would say 3.
How old were you, Armstrong, where you could not contain yourself? If you lived in a 2-story house, which we did a few times, which was, just because we had 7 people in the family, when could you not contain yourself and be a good boy and not go sneak into the big living room or wherever you put your Christmas tree?
Oh, before my memory. Before I have memories, I was that kind of person. But we did have a 2-story house. So my parents would kind of block it off.
There was nothing greater than going down like a second floor down the stairs. I just, for some reason, one of the memories is the Christmas tree over here, and you could see it over, off in the distance.
Well, we didn't do like individual presents wrapped under the tree. It was like my parents hid it somewhere in the house, and then Christmas night they would bring it out.
Oh, okay.
And so it wasn't like you could sneak a peek under the tree. It was like go on a scavenger hunt throughout the house, and
Easter egg hunt.
Where did they hide the presents?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so we've mentioned the men. We've heard from Maceo Teague, also Scott Drew, Jay Wright, and Danny Manning and Alfonso Ellis as well. Now, this 4 o'clock hour, last night the Lady Bears, they obliterated Virginia Tech, and they're a 7 seed. There's been a couple of shockers in the women's tournament, not a lot, but they've taken care of their business. There was no doubt when the tournament began, if you looked at the bracket, you would say, okay, Baylor will get tested, but it will be at least no earlier than the Sweet 16 round by maybe Tennessee or Michigan, and even then, those two would have to play very well, and Baylor would have to give up a bunch of threes. You know the drill. But eventually they're going to play UConn if they continue to play at the level they've played, at Queen Egbo and her level of what she's doing on both ends of the court. Nalissa Smith says all, Moon Urson, Dee Richards, etc., right? Mm-hmm. And Dejanay Carrington yesterday was fantastic again for Baylor along with others. They beat the hell out of Virginia Tech. And I'm telling you, you talk about defense, they smothered Virginia Tech. Their star player at Virginia Tech, I think maybe even got a shot off once in the first half. Crushed them. 90, I think, to 49. Kim Mulkey in the postgame, she talked about the defense and what she saw, and mentioned that there's no doubt in her mind that it might have been the best defensive performance she had seen in her 36 years of coaching. Now, that's not the audio yet, but we've seen them dominate.
They played pretty darn good defense all time. In fact, I can tell you, of the games I've seen, you can probably count what you'd call a poor defensive performance on one hand.
Well,
because they don't lose because of their defense most of the time.
Well, they've led the country year after year after year in a lot of the defensive numbers. I'm trying to get to that point. Well, yeah. So, but hey, it was amazing. Here's also part of what Kim Mulkey said in the post game after the win against Virginia Tech.
I remember what you said back at the end of January. You needed practices to get back, to get them on the court, practice. Are you now where you need to be? I know you can get better, but are you now where you thought you could possibly be if you had the time?
You're asking me to say we played the perfect game? No, I know what you mean. Listen, yes, to answer your question. Now, that doesn't mean somebody else isn't either. As you progress in this tournament, it gets tougher. And we think we're one of the teams that has a chance to win it all. But we are also humble enough to realize there are other teams that feel the same way and are as talented as we are. And our approach is we're going to give it everything we have in a scouting report. We're going to give everything we have on the defensive end of the floor and just play hard. And I said this many times, Smoke, if we get beat and that happens, I just know that those kids in that locker room will have given everything they had, and you have to just compliment the other team. The very first team I coached at Baylor, I remember being in that SLIC, Student Life Center, and us celebrating. I remember Dave Campbell there, what a legend he is in sports journalism, and us going to Duke and Cameron and getting beat by Arkansas, and one of my former coaches, and Gary Blair, who was coaching there. So I remember that. And then I remember, the first games we won against ranked opponents. I'm not sure I remember. I'd have to really think. The first Sweet 16 helped me here. It might have been at the Pit, maybe? I don't know. It might have been when maybe we beat Florida, but I can't tell you. When you do this 36 years, you'll sit in that rocking chair one day and then you'll start thinking about all of them. But I don't know. Y'all Google it and see when the first Sweet 16 we made, and then I can probably give you details of the game.
Yeah, I'll answer it for you.
When was it?
Florida. It was Florida to get to the Sweet 16.
In the Pit?
Lost Tennessee. Yeah.
Was it in the pit? See, I got a decent memory.
And then you lost that game to Tennessee with the controversial ending. Kim,
And you know where that was played, right?
I do.
Was that played at OU?
Yeah, it was.
Yep.
Kim, and I don't know that you've even had a chance to look at it. I know they were playing right before you, but any early thoughts on Michigan and them upsetting Tennessee, I guess?
Well, Kim, their head coach, is I like her. I've always liked her, and she's come to our place for the first and second rounds before, and I think we've even played each other in the playoffs before. You know, Coach Wilson, Toyelle Wilson, a former assistant of ours, is on her staff. Respect. Good program, a program that's fundamentally sound, has one of the top players in the country in Hillsman. I haven't studied much. I saw some of it in the locker room prior to the game. But that's about all I can give you in a scouting report right now.
So that's Kim Mulkey, kind of an insight from her on one. We told you what she said. It's the best game she's seen defensively in her 36 years of being a head coach. 36 years of coaching. That's crazy. But they were that good yesterday. They're going to have to be that good to move on and move on and move on. And they're playing at a very high level. And then the part about the Sweet 16 and the great Jerry Hill from the Jerry Hill Baylor Bear Insider, owned and written by Jerry Hill.
Trademark Jerry Hill.
Trademark copyright infringement, if you're careful. The Jerry Hill Baylor Bear Insider discussed a little bit of that particular memory. And then she said she didn't remember, and then he mentioned it, and then she remembered exactly where they played the game, at Oklahoma, which she was insinuating it was at Oklahoma, and if there's a controversial call.
Yeah. But they weren't playing Oklahoma. They were playing Tennessee.
But yeah, I know.
I remember the national outcry that happened, when I moved here the year after that. And
what national outcry?
The local outcry. They were still complaining about it to the minute of them winning over Michigan State in 2005.
Let me ask you this. I keep bringing that up. If Baylor is fortunate enough, and they have to win 4 times, if the men win it all, does that erase the charge against Duke?
No. And I'll tell you why, because it never does for anybody. It never does.
Well, I don't know. I think sometimes being able to enjoy that success.
It makes it okay again.
It's still a part of the history. Doesn't mean it didn't happen.
It's salve for a burn that hadn't completely healed, but you're always gonna have a scar, so I think
that'd be a great poll question.
Yeah, because it would. I just know for things for me as a fan, and I'm the most spoiled sports fan in the world when it comes to my teams. I've pretty much won everything I could imagine. At this point, I start to get nitpicky, but I do think
you're not getting nitpicky anymore. You are, begging.
Yeah, but I
understand what you're saying. But does that?
But I still every time I think about Grady Little. I was watching Bull Durham the other day, and his name's in the credits because he was the baseball advisor on the movie Bull Durham. And I saw his name, and I went, well, that kind of ruined this movie for me a little bit because he in 2003, he left Pedro in the game too long, and the Red Sox lost. And here's the deal for that particular.
I didn't need for you to go into a novel about this.
But for that particular burn I had, that was only a year old. A year later, they won the damn World Series.
I know,
but I'm still mad about it.
But so I don't know. I think that I'm still always going to be sad about Turner Gill's 2-point conversion against Miami.
Yeah,
because it delayed everything for a decade.
But there've been things. So you're always going to be mad about it. It's kind of like. The girl you asked out when you were a senior and she said no, and then you went to college and met your wife, but you're still kind of pissed at the girl for telling you no, even though you didn't end up with her. It's just, hurt stays there. People hold on to hurt. That's why therapy exists, because we can't let go. If we could, there'd be no need for therapy. You just be like, oh, well, that happened and it's over. And the sports is just like that. But the charge, and I'm sorry, I'm going to call it the block because that's what it was. I will never understand why, of all players in the world, that it was somehow against the rules for Brad Zubek from Duke to not get his fifth foul, because it wasn't just Baylor. He was on his fifth foul and absolutely ran through Gordon Hayward like he wasn't there and knocked him down, and nothing happened. And I thought, why are they not calling the fifth foul on this guy?
Brian Zubek.
Yeah.
And you know why.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, but
the name on the jersey.
But yeah, okay, but his
Who the
fifth
hell
foul.
was that?
What?
I don't even remember him.
Zubek,
Brian
Zubek. He was their center.
Freaking Duke player.
He's a big dude, born number 55.
Armstrong hates Duke.
Yeah,
God, like your blood pressure just went up.
Yeah, Brian Zubek. I just looked him up and I'm looking at a picture of this idiot.
All right, so
because here's the thing.
Can we get back to
No, I'm going to go to Zubek.
I have a headache now.
This is the confluence of events with Zubek. So he should have fouled out because Quincy Acee, he blocked Quincy Acee on a shot that Quincy made. Then on the other end, he got a rebound when he wouldn't have been in the game, and he was the only guy who had done it, and kicked out for a three, and that started Duke's run. So it was, that was the... if you go back in time and change the one thing that would change history, it would have been him. Call that foul and the game's different. It's over. It's over. Baylor wins. Look, Gordon Hayward probably feels the same way about it.
How Baylor fans would respond to that, and now I'm scared to get into that now. You're just a guy that's kind of watched them, and you were at the game, but my God,
I was right by his dadgum feet, so I know.
Now, a couple of other notes that we had. It almost deserves a commercial break.
Armstrong and I have to go outside and take a lap or something.
Yes.
Golly.
A lot of negative energy about that whole thing.
How about this? I saw this note. This is from Kevin Flaherty. He writes for 247 Sports. He's their college basketball writer. In Baylor's first 7 games, after returning from the long COVID pause, 5 regular season games, 2 in the Big 12. They did not hold a single team under 1 point per possession. In their first 2 NCAA tournament games, they've held opponents Hartford to .71 and Wisconsin to .98. We discussed this. This is kind of, you see a little bit of a different team.
Well, if they can do that with Villanova, that'd be great. And Villanova...
Villanova, what was it? LaFonso Ellis thought they would try to keep this thing down, dummy it down. Villanova's an elite team. Listen, they have 2 national titles in 4 years. They have every right to feel like they're going to win everything they play, and especially with some of the trends of Villanova and Jay Wright. But I would think they're going to want to keep this game down, and it's going to be a key, kind of like Wisconsin would like to have done.
That's one of the things. It's kind of similar to how people should try and play against Gonzaga, but they don't.
Easier said than done.
It's easier said than done. Like you do. The problem with it is kind of like when you're a kind of methodical team in football that plays against a spread team. You think, okay, well this week we're going to try to do that, we're going to try to do it our way, and then the spread team scores 2 touchdowns out of the box, and you're like, well, we can't do it our way anymore.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with teams like Baylor that can score in flurries. You want to try to slow it down, but if they go on a 10-0 run in the first half at some point, you're going to be like, well, I guess we can't slow it down.
But I think that's one of the strengths, and I could be wrong, and they could prove me wrong, is that Baylor seems to be able to win a game 60-58 as much as they do 85-83. A couple of texts from you on the Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line from Jimmy Blower. Great insight from Mr. Ellis. My question, I can answer the question pretty quickly, but it's a great question. Does Mark Vidal deserve his jersey to be retired after the season? Well, Baylor men's basketball doesn't do that.
No.
Kim, Coach Mulkey, has numbers that you see, right?
Mm-hmm.
You, 1, have to be a great player, and number 2, probably pretty much attached to a national championship, although Melissa Jones is not.
And you have to graduate.
And you have to graduate. Now, one of the reasons you don't see Brittany Griner's number up is because, well, she had not graduated until I think she has now, but now that's a different story because of what Brittany put in that ESPN, the magazine, and just shredded a program that pampered her for all those years she was at Baylor. I don't think you'll ever see that. She's going to have to publicly come out, in my opinion, and kind of clear the air on some things that she said to Kate Fagan and others about Baylor and the atmosphere on campus. I'm not saying Brittany's lying. That's her opinion. It's her life.
But she finally graduated, but had she graduated the year they lost to Villanova when she was awful in that quarterfinal round game, whatever it was, I think they would have retired it then. Had she gotten her degree and stayed on campus and then gone and played her WNBA career. That's just me over the years of doing some of the due diligence there. Does that make sense to you? Mm-hmm. Now, so that's that. So great question, Jimmy, but the Baylor does not, like RG3's jersey's not retired. There's a statue of him. Mm-hmm. And I get arguments about, hey, put statues up of people. We've seen statues of people while they're still currently coaching or playing kind of come back to bite you in the ass a little bit. I hear the ones about the coaches, some of them, whether it was Art Briles or whether it's Kim Mulkey, or maybe if Baylor wins the national championship in men's basketball, what do you do with Scott Drew? Names on courts, names on buildings. It's just there's a fine line there. Nobody's ever happy with it because you want somebody to get honored, and yet there's you just got to be careful.
I'm a fan of retiring numbers or honoring them. Like you can hang them in the rafters, obviously, without retiring them. But I think there needs to be a set list of rules. If you win National Player of the Year, it is retired. No other way to get it. So it's not a committee sitting around, oh, we really like
getting
this
political
player.
Or
exactly.
Oh, he's such a sweet person.
Well, here's the list. You have to do this. You have to be first team All-American to get your jersey honored.
What else? National championship and All-American, or just because then you have backup guards?
Yeah. So you have NCAA tournament MVP. So to get your jersey retired, I think you have to win National Player of the Year, period.
Okay.
And that's it. That's the only way. And then you can get your jersey honored by maybe first team All-American, MVP of an NCAA tournament, Final Four MVP.
Jared Butler is not a National
Olympic
Player of the Year.
Maybe.
He's an All-American. Yeah. He's consensus.
Yeah. I like that you have strict standards, Armstrong. Because here's the thing, because we've had the debate about the Cowboys Ring of Honor a lot, and the thing about the Cowboys Ring of Honor is, and Jerry has been really good with this he has kept it to a standard for a long time, but he is about, because he's going to, he's about to break his standard.
With Romo. Yeah.
Romo's going in.
And he has dipped into the past, but not from those who are in the past. Even though he's kind of embraced the past, he still has more of what matters to him is who he has been the owner of players rather than what happened prior to 1989. There's some players still that you wonder why they're not in the Ring of Honor.
Gil Brandt alone didn't need to be put in the NFL Hall of Fame to be in the Cowboys Ring of Honor because of the first guys in the Cowboys Ring of Honor. He brought all of them there.
You know what, though? I'll say this. The Cowboys Ring of Honor is one of the most exclusive clubs of anything ever in anything sports of any level, any franchises, leagues, or levels. So they need to keep it that way rather than splatter names all over the stadium like I've seen other franchises do.
There's only two guys from the recent era who I believe belong in there, and it's Jason Witten and DeMarcus Ware.
Iowa stepped into it. On the Garza. That's a great point from the 325. So Luka Garza is the Player of the Year, right, from Iowa. His season's over. You saw the emotions.
Twice in a row in the Big Ten.
Right.
Yeah.
But the former players that was there, God, I just went blank, from Iowa. Not Mobley, because that's USC, but a name similar to that. His son was kind of a little bit upset about it because his dad at Iowa was a great player, and they did not honor him. And so that kind of had a little flashback. And I think maybe what Iowa did, and that's when somebody has to, you have committees, and I think we have too many committees to name a committee so you could wonder who should be on the committee, and then you have a committee then to do that. It's when somebody needs to walk it up and down the hallways of your athletic department going, what about so-and-so? We didn't retire his number. Yeah. Sometimes the history and your tradition can be lost with time. And I think that kind of stirred things up. That's a great point by the 325 on Luka Garza. And so you can retire jersey, then all of a sudden, they announced, like, if you're National Player of the Year, that eliminates Jared Butler.
They announced Luka Garza while he was still in school too.
I think sometimes we get so emotionally invested in wanting to honor somebody. But I'll say this, I'll tell you what, I'll never forget what Earl Campbell said one time to me. This has been over a decade now. I've told my friends and I've told my family that if in fact I go, in other words, die, and remember he was in bad physical shape, nobody is to honor me after I'm gone. And if that would have happened 10 or 12, 15 years ago, there would not be Earl Campbell Parkway. There would not be the huge bronze statue outside of DK Royal Memorial Stadium and Ricky Williams Earl Campbell Field and the bronze statue. There would not be the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award. There would not be Earl Campbell Field at the name of the stadium that both Legacy and Tyler High play on. Think about that. For the best, and it's not even close of an argument, the best player to ever come out of Tyler, Texas. So you got to be careful about waiting for someone to retire and then also retiring somebody or honoring them while they're there, and yet you want to make sure that they can that they and their family can then enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
So fine. I want my standard.
Yeah, like you're saying, Jared Butler wouldn't get his jersey
if
retired.
It was Naismith All-American Player of the Year.
I would say, that's you just have to deal with. But because if you retire his number because, he looked really good and he was first-team All-American, well, who's to say that Baylor isn't going to have like 6 first-team All-Americans in 20 years? And now we have 7 retired numbers? That's just not going to work.
If the current success is extended for another 5 or 8 years, they're going to have more.
You're going to have more Jared Butlers.
Yeah, you don't want to... Look, the Yankees are out of single digits, but it took them 80 years to get there, right? Yeah. So, but to your point, though, like Baylor's going to, there's going to be guys that have to wear number 38 because they can't wear 9 because it's gone, or whatever it is because somebody hit the, it's a great, I love your standards, Armstrong.
And you can honor them. Like, let's hang Jared Butler, number 12 Butler, but people can still wear the number. But let's hang that in the rafters, sure. First team All-American, that definitely deserves that. But you can still wear the number. You can have 2 different tiers.
I think retiring numbers gets a real dicey because, here I'm 61 years old. I've followed sports now since I was 6 or 7. So I've seen a lot of, like, another 50 years from now, are the Yankees going to have any numbers left?
But and that's...
seriously.
And they'll probably have to go, well, now we have to let them. But they...
No, you can't. Who's the one? Who was it? Who's the player... Theismann 7 and Dwayne Haskins of all people wanted it. Okay, Theismann said yes, but why don't you go make your own name, no number, and then look what happened with that.
Yeah, you're just getting to a point. Retiring number, to me, you should retire a number if someone was so definitive to your franchise, and not only the franchise, but like the city, and so like Nolan Ryan's number probably deserves to be retired in Arlington because he was the guy who brought attention to the Rangers like they'd never had before and has been definitive to the city. But even then, like the Cowboys don't retire numbers, they just don't assign them again for a while. But you could wind up seeing a number 8 or 12 down the line. They just, they don't. But there's been 55s, there's been 74s, there's been, there's going to be 73s forever. Those are all guys that were elite at their position. 33, there's been 33s. There hasn't been an 8 or a 22. But look, Jerry has made a whole thing about the number 88. Yeah. And none of them have been as good as the first 2. So,
yeah. 4:30 on SicEm365 Radio. We left the 4 o'clock open on purpose. Grayson and Craig are at the Baylor's. How about spring drills? How about the fact that they have spring drills? How about what would have changed last year? 254-339-1122. How much would have changed last year had they been able to go through spring drills? And listen, dozens of schools did not. But when you have the new coaching staff, how much would that have helped? The offense, of course, was just awful most of the year last year. Would Charlie Brewer still be here? Would Larry Fedora still be here? It's a serious and legitimate question. Because if they would have been somewhat productive, more productive last year, even if it would have been 4 or 5 wins rather than 2, but they're in the first day. Dave Arand is really a year and a half later, or just over a year later, his first day of spring drills as a head coach at Baylor. And also the Jeff Grimes. What are they going to look like offensively? What can they do? Mateos in the offensive line. Chancey Stuckey, wide receiver. Sean Bell, quarterbacks coach. And then obviously Kevin Curtis in the secondary as well. But the same staples, including Joey McGuire and Ron Roberts, among others, are still right there. Justin Johnson, among others. I can't name all the coaches. We got to hit a break. We'll be back in a moment. 254-339-1122. SicEm365 Radio. PettyClinicLowT.com. Dr. Ken Petty can help you become a high-performance man, the high-performance man that you really want to be. Could be a lot of things going on in your life. There could be the fact that, one, father time, you're getting older, things change. You always hear the joke about as you get older, gravity takes over your body. Well, sometimes inside your body, father time starts to take over things there as well. Some of it might be internal. Some of it might just be, you're getting older. And some of things that happen when you get older is your testosterone levels, that like the energy that can drive you, it starts to change. It starts to be... it starts to fade a little bit. It starts to get lower. Not everybody, but 1 out of every 3 men have symptomatic issues when it comes to a low testosterone level. Could be sleep issues, you don't sleep well. Could be energy, could be focus, you could be lethargic, and also you could have issues with your sex drive, ED, and performance in the bedroom. Bottom line, that's part of testosterone levels when they drop. Dr. Ken Petty can help you out. All you have to do is go online at PettyClinicLowT.com. You can even, if you want to, in the notes section, tell him Smokey sent you. He will then get you lab work, an appointment set up, get your blood drawn, and then see your testosterone levels. And if they have dropped or too low, he can put you in a program to increase all of that, which also then changes all the other problems and symptoms or helps those symptoms get better, not worse. PettyClinicLowT.com.
Well, I think you can always take a...
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Ram Truck Month means special pricing on new Ram trucks at Allen Samuels. The 3P Motor Trend Truck of the Year, Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab, has special values up to $7,250 or 0% for 72 months, plus $3,000 in combo cash. Visit the customer award-winning Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco, for the 3-time Motor Trend Truck of the Year, Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab. Ram Truck Month is going on now at Allen Samuels, your friend in the car business. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones Whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new Lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness was built to help give you a chance to enjoy elite tennis facilities and also remain fit or reshape your body. Now Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has gone through its own physical changes. There are 7 large flat screens stretched across the main and improved weight room with Wi-Fi available and their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports channels. The beautiful sound of active treadmills and elliptical machines, group exercise classes throughout each day, a new ballet bar for bar classes, a new look lounge and bar with beer and wine with more large flat screens
screens available, touchless water fountains outside each spacious men's and women's locker rooms, showers, sauna, and whirlpool. Upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts and lessons for adults and juniors. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Also, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. So start today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Are you a SicEm365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
4:36 is the time. Craig Smoak with a picture up on his Twitter page at inside the Allison Indoor with players. He goes, this is not Photoshop. This is happening. Hey, here's a couple of stories I'd like to get to, and we're waiting for Grayson and Craig to get back to just kind of discuss what they saw. Lincoln Riley, have you seen this? Opposed to Chandler Morris being immediately eligible at TCU about a core belief that you shouldn't be able to transfer into conference without any kind of penalty. He said it's bad for the game. Now, I know what people are going to say. Austin Kendall went from OU to West Virginia, grad transfer. No one has benefited more from the quarterbacks transferring in than maybe Oklahoma with Jalen Hurts and Baker Mayfield and a guy named Kyler Murray. Two of them won Heisman trophies. And Hurts was damn sure a part of the conversation for a while. But Mayfield had to sit out a year, I believe. So did Kyler Murray. And Jalen Hurts was a graduate transfer.
Yeah. And then
why would Lincoln Riley want to die? So it's the term. Why would he want to die on this hill? He's going to lose this battle.
He's going to lose. He's going to lose it. It doesn't help that other colleague, the ACC, just the other day said interconference to go ahead, same as everything else.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it doesn't help. But he is. I have a lot of respect for Lincoln Riley. I think this is kind of a weird stance to take, seeing as things are going. But he did admit that he sees that it is a weird stance to take. But if he's trying to stem the tide of the transfer portal somehow, and maybe that's what he's doing, but he's going to lose. Bottom line, he's going to lose.
Here's what the problem I have with some of the reactions, okay? You can feel like he's wrong. You could actually agree with him. But it's how people do or what they say when they disagree. It's no different than anything else we want to talk about in life today.
Well, I mean, look.
They go and get mad and angry, and they start to then crucify or take personal shots at Lincoln Riley. Either say you don't agree, and here's why, and you can use him as an example, or this is why you agree. Why do we have to go in the gutter and say, it gets vicious? And there's no reason for that, but that's what social media, another reason not to be on it.
There's no reason to get vicious with him. I think I'm curious to see how far he's really willing to take this, because I do think that if Chandler Morris isn't eligible to play by the time the season rolls around, I think then it's gotten silly. I think he's made his point. He disagrees with it. But Big 12, please make your ruling soon. Like just don't let this drag out.
They will. They
just make the ruling soon and don't let it drag out. And if Lincoln Riley's wrong or if he's right, let's find out. And then let's make the rule. But I don't.
All right, so that's that. Now, Paul, since 2000, there have been, I'm sure, dozens of great college football players, right? Great. This guy named Bill Connelly, maybe Connelly at ESPN, ranking the 80, I don't know why 80, the 80 best college football defensive players of the 2000s. So you're talking about 20 years. Mm-hmm. Talk about some great names in here like Ed Reed, Ed Oliver, Monte Teo.
Manti Teo.
Remember him?
Man, I feel worse and worse for that guy as the years go on, because he's had a pretty solid NFL career. I think he might still be bouncing around a little bit, but he's always going to be remembered for getting catfished.
Yeah.
And that's where I found out that even existed, and then how weird it was. And then I remember sitting around talking to one of our interns at the time going, hey, if you never met someone face to face, would you tell them that you loved them? I don't think I would. But, I'm callous and cold. But, yeah, he's always going to remember that. But, yeah, he was a great player at Notre Dame. I mean, he finished second in the Heisman Trophy voting.
The top 10. Number 10, Derek Johnson, former Waco High, Texas, and Kansas City Chiefs great. He was on the show recently. Number 9, North Carolina's Julius Peppers, hell of a player. Number 8, Tyrann Mathieu, LSU. Number 7, a friend of the show. I got to stop saying that. I sound like Jim Nantz. Number 7, Roy Williams, a great player at Oklahoma. At number 6, David Pollock at Georgia.
But by the way, the Cowboys are doing with Keanu Neal what they should have done with Roy Williams?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Moving to linebacker.
Yep. Aaron Donald, number 5. All right, now I know he was really good at Pittsburgh, but how much of that is him because of how great he is in the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, Pittsburgh wasn't that great while he was there, but he was great. Yeah.
Khalil Mack, Buffalo, number 4.
Yeah.
Number 3, Terrell Suggs, Arizona State.
Yeah, he's a pretty bad dude.
Number 2, Ed Reed. And if you're not, if Ed Reed is number 2 at Miami, who could be the greatest safety to ever play the game, and they used to just spit them out. If you're number 2 and you're Ed Reed, you better bring number 1. And that can almost not even be an argument.
I saw both number 2 and number 1 play in person, and I can tell you, I totally agree with their placing.
Number 1, I saw this. If he would have been 5th, I would have mentioned it. You mentioned him yesterday as a possible free agent. He signed today, re-signed with Tampa Bay. Is number 1 in the 20 to 2019 Nebraska defensive lineman Ndamukong Suh.
Yeah, Ndamukong Suh should have won the Heisman Trophy.
Tommy Harris of Colleen Ellison High School was number 37, by the way. So 2 young men who played high school football in Central Texas are among the top 37 ranked of 2000 to 2019 in college football. Think about that. It's pretty impressive. And Armstrong, any questions from you on that? Any comments?
Craig and Grayson will be back, so let's take the break.
Okay. Well, I don't want to. Feel like it. Tonight, Texas plays UCLA women's basketball. Paul will have a summary tomorrow. That's at 8, Iowa State A&M in the Alamo Dome. All those games are in San Antonio. That will start at 6 o'clock when we're off the air. All right?
People can look up all that information online, and we could have saved that time.
Also, one other note.
Why do you do this to me? Just to torture me?
Did you hear about the NHL official who's being basically fired? This is an incredible story, Paul. I think we all have thought about this, makeup calls. This guy's name is, I don't know, Tim Pickell. He was officiating a game between Detroit and the Predators. Is that Nashville? Mm-hmm. He had a mic. He was mic'd. And during a break to check on something, the Nashville broadcast captured audio from an on-ice official saying it wasn't much, talking about a call. But I wanted to get a blanking penalty against Nashville early. He was admitting he called something against the Predators because they had been called for three calls had gone for them. He is gone.
As he should be. That's not the point of officiating.
The head coach at Nashville, when asked after the game about it, he said, he works for the NHL. We'll let them take care of it. And they have. When we come back, Grayson and Craig on their way back from Baylor's first spring drills practice. We'll have that. John Machota, Dan Lust, Sports Law at 5:20. And also today, we have much more to bring to you as well. This is SicEm365 Radio. Ideal MRI, Dr. Rob Maxey spoke with him on the phone earlier this week. Boy, they have a great business. They can save you lots of money. If you're going to buy something, and then I can tell you that when you have to buy the cost of an MRI because of something that you have in your shoulder, your neck, your leg, your ankle, which is a part of your leg, and even your knee, or all of the above. Like you just something hurts. And it's not just sore, not just a couple of Advil or an Aleve that takes care of it, but something that you almost are having to almost get prescribed. They'll set that up. It's very, very easy. You're not going to have to be a part of a crowded waiting room. You walk in the door, you check in, they'll send you back to the Texan specialist. They'll go over the MRI process with you, and then you get in the machine, and later that day, depending on when the appointment is, you'll get a call from the doctor, or they'll tell you, hey, by the way, this is what we see. And then a copy of the MRI will be sent to whoever your doctor is, whether it's an orthopedic surgeon or somebody else. $497 every single time or less. The average MRI is $1,100. So you're already saving more than half of what the cost would be. $497 or less. Why would you not contact idealmri.com?
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Don's Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don's Humidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
All right, it's like Christmas for Grayson and Craig. They both couldn't sleep last night. There was no spring drills. We didn't have any access, not one time last year, because there were no spring drills, or was no spring drills. Were or was?
Were no spring drills.
Were no spring drills.
Yeah, because it's plural.
But spring drills is singular. Now, also...
The word drills, spring is an adjective in that.
And then there was none of that when it comes to the regular season either. Think about that. Everything was on Zoom, everything. And for the coaches, a lot of it was as well. So they wrapped up, or they're at the beginning of their first practice of the spring today, and then Grayson and Craig were there. Craig's on his way back. Grayson drives like a madman. I've heard that as well. So, all right, they're both back, and let's start with Grayson. And you were there. You know, any particular notes at all on what you saw in particular that jumped out at you?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing everyone for sure took notice of, and I know Craig mentioned it immediately when we saw the quarterbacks, and everyone was just like, whoa, Kyron Drones. Because, and we haven't seen him. So, you see him out there and you just are like, wow, this is a big kid. And, he looks like how I would envision Jalen Hurts probably looked when he was at Alabama. Just physically imposing. They have him listed at 6'2", 222. But he was just a man amongst boys. Gary Bohannon looked about a little bit smaller. And Jacob Zeno.
Wait a minute. Bohannon looks smaller than Zeno?
No, than Kyron.
Okay. Wow. That's what I meant.
Yeah, than
Bohannon's
Kyron.
a pretty big guy.
Oh, very much so. I was shocked by that. Jacob Zeno looked long and lanky, but have him listed at 211, and I believe he was 194 last year, so he put on quite a bit of weight as well. So the quarterbacks all looked good. Blake Shapen, I think he's at like 192, 6 foot as well. So yeah, I was impressed to go see them, and not too much to note. I will say this though, in all the drills, I mentioned this to Craig, for the most part, Jacob Zeno was going first. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's his job. I'm definitely not going to say that, but I am going to say that it looks like he's at least making a concerted effort to make sure that he's either the first guy in line or the staff is telling him to go first. But I did notice that as kind of a little wrinkle.
Did you guys get to see any other position groupings, or was it not really those kind of drills?
No, it was all the individual. I got to thank Taylor Bryant, first of all. That's what we need to do, because we're out there for an hour. And last year, obviously, we had nothing. But going back to even the year prior, we never had an hour out there. We maybe had 20, 30 minutes, but that was an hour. So first of all, thanks to Taylor and everybody for setting that up. Clay Johnston was out there. Garrett McGuire was out there. A couple former players. They all broke up into position groups. We got to see that. But, yeah, my first thought was just who is that massive quarterback? You see Kyron Drones' arms. He's like a pro wrestler. He's a big dude. Really, though, he's got massive arms and big legs. Everybody out there looked healthy and good. Everybody looked like they're supposed to look, and that was not what we saw last year. We saw a lot of guys who probably were underweight, or maybe they weren't molded just the way they needed to be, but everybody out there, Grayson, looked like they had been through a full strength and conditioning. And one of the first things I noted was, we couldn't compare it again to last year, but they just seemed to be on the same page. It seemed like everybody kind of knew what they were doing, and we watched games last year where everybody didn't know they knew what they were doing. So I think that's a positive sign as well, that just they seem to understand what's going on.
Yeah, and to your point, Craig, and this was a big thing that I think everyone noticed in the building. You walked into the indoor, and Vic Valoria just had those guys on a strict regimen. He'd clap his hands. They were, clapping their, knees all at the same time, dropping in stance before they were doing their lifts. So he'd tell them to lift, then they drop into stance and then begin the stretch. It was just very a systematic approach that you can tell was something that they've been doing, over the course of these past few months with him in the weight room. Everyone seemed on the same page, and everyone seemed really happy, which is always a great sign.
I've brought this up, but when we hear about what Mateos or Grimes or Stuckey or Curtis or whoever might bring to the table, one of the things is sometimes it seems like the numbers, and I've asked you this 2 or 3 times about the numbers of weight, the weight numbers that people are lifting or power lifting or clean and jerk, whatever the hell it is, it does seem like the players are bigger, which we never saw that last year. from even what we saw the year before because we never got a chance to see them up close? Is that because I didn't see them, or is that obvious?
It's obvious. And I mean, when you got a guy like Apu Aika in there, I mean, he brings up the numbers for everybody when you see him out there. But yeah, they all look like they got bigger, stronger, and I mean,
which is what they should do.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's more than that though, guys. I mean, the fact that he got them stronger and bigger and all that, that's awesome. But I would say the mental aspect, the fact that they just looked so ready for spring ball and so ready to take on this challenge. I mean, that's a credit to the staff, and that's a credit to the strength and conditioning guys who have been working with them over the past few months. So yeah, I mean, these guys look bigger, more physically imposing. That's for sure.
What notes other than so? If you would have said Drones was bigger than Siaki Aiku, then or Apu, then we would have had a problem.
Huge problem. Yeah, he'd be on the offensive line probably.
Yeah, isn't it? But were you guys? Was it almost as if I know it's practice, like Al and I, but was it nice? I know Craig mentioned Taylor Brown. Is it nice to be able to watch it? And because you haven't done that in a year.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so different.
A year and a half, maybe.
Yeah, it's surreal, honestly, that we just got to do that for as long as we did and got to see all the guys out there. I mean, I bet it's surreal for them to have media at the practice. I mean, a lot of those guys have never had that before. So, yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun. And I know just the vibe of the media was also really fun to watch. They were all excited to be out there, too. So, in general, just an awesome period. Awesome to go out there and be able to see some spring ball and lots of good news and nuggets just from watching the limited time we did.
Yeah, I met Des Poland real quick. He was out there. The whole coaching staff. I know Grayson bumped into David Wetzel, and it was cool to meet Coach Poland for the first time, and he's a fan of what we do, and I think they were fans of just having us out there, like Grayson said. Just having media in general out there was a good thing for them. But yeah, I mean, spirits were high as they would be, for a first spring practice. If they weren't, then that would be really problematic. But yeah, I mean, I guess my biggest takeaways are just everybody looks the part now. It's not a bunch of smaller dudes trying to, pretend to be Big 12 football players. They actually look like Big 12 football players, and in some cases, guys are like supremely different from what we saw last year. Quarterback room, just not having Charlie Brewer there, it was nice. It was nice. It really was. Although,
are you sure Shapen's not
Blake
Brewer?
Shapen looks exactly like Charlie Brewer with pads on. He looks just like him. Maybe Charlie was a little bit bigger upper body by the time he left, like his arms might have been, but he looks just like him, even height and everything. So it was nice to see just like that change. That room, just like that freshness there, rather than the incumbent he's been, holding the fort down. So seeing that group with that switch up was cool. Tyquan Thornton's over 180 pounds now. Legitimately, they didn't cheat on the weights on the handout that they gave to us, which was nice to get as well. I didn't notice anything big roster-wise. I mean, there was just the heights and weights, really. But, Tyquan Thornton definitely looked like he's added some weight, which is good news.
Yeah, so a couple more quick hitters that I have. Jeff Grimes was everywhere. Everyone asking, is he just going to be working with the tight ends all practice? No. Right when I got out there, he was working with the offensive line immediately. Walked over the quarterbacks a little bit. Did his work with the tight ends as well. But he's going to have his fingerprints all over the offensive line, helping with that group. Coach Mateos, you want to talk about a guy that's going to expect a lot from the offensive line? He got on those guys early. They'd done maybe 3 reps, and he was like, this isn't good enough. It was like, y'all need to go faster. This is 100%. This is not, 50%. So he was getting on them a little bit for that. That was good to see. Drake Dabney looks massive.
Yeah,
Javon Gibson and Elijah Bean, 2 freshmen.
Drake's hurt, though, right?
No.
He was out there.
He was out there, okay.
No red shirt, no nothing.
You mentioned Dabney and Elijah Bean.
Elijah Bean and Javon Gibson.
Okay.
Yeah, two incoming freshmen. Yep.
I've seen some of the videos.
Well, there's one. I'll just go ahead because Jeff Grimes, I guess they're with the tight ends, and one of the walk-on tight ends, I guess there's only like 4 of them. I mean, there's 5 because they had to do 3 and then 2. And he had to tell them like, hey, we're always going to do 3-2. We're always going to do 3-2. Don't ever let a guy run a drill by himself or whatever. And then they proceed to do a different drill and a guy to run it by himself. So it was funny. But on one of the drills, I don't know his last name, but one of the walk-on tight ends, and that is not a big group. That's something that they're going to have to address, Grayson.
And they are.
They are. But they just can't do anything about it right now. But trying to figure out who exactly it was.
Because no Sam Snyder, obviously.
He transferred or retired.
Retired.
Okay, it doesn't matter. Oh, Ty Moore is who it was.
Mm-hmm.
He was. They were doing almost like like you're stealing a base. Like you turn your hips and you dart, but kind of similar to that. And he was kind of leaning a little bit, and Grimes got on him real quick about like, hey, you're not stealing second base or something along those lines. So they were being very particular about the details. They weren't letting just like a little half-assed rep, stand. They were correcting that rep right then and there and making sure that it was done better the second time around. And, these players are getting used to being out at practice as well. They got to probably, remember some things and remember how to do some certain things. So that was just fun to see that in-person coaching and the small little details mattering.
That's good. It's fun to talk about it, isn't it?
Oh.
We can talk more about it.
Yeah.
Plenty going on.
No, we can. John Machota, we're going to move him back about 8 to 10 minutes. We're good. And then also we have Dan Lust on some sports law stuff. So, I just think it's just a breath of fresh air. You mentioned about the quarterback room of the group, but also a breath of fresh air that you saw practice and some things that we take for granted. We do, like the March Madness tournament, right? Games.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what everybody's comment was that was out there was, hey, it's weird to be out here. It's good to be out here, all along those same lines. So, yeah, it was weird. And that time flew by. Even though it was a really lengthy amount of time that we were given, it went by really quickly. Suddenly looked up, and we had like 20 minutes, and then suddenly looked up, and it was like 2.5. I was like, oh, shoot, we got to leave soon. But that was great, and fun to see him out there. Fun to see him out there having fun.
That tight end, Ty Moore from Lorena, hell of a player. He's a good athlete. Again, it's one of those stories. It's going to be a while, you would think, but I heard a lot of good things about him from Ray Biles.
It does not surprise me, though, that you say that it took 3 plays for the offensive line to already be out of sync. That is the largest mountain they've got to climb.
That's progress. It usually took 2 or 1, previous times.
It's all about physicality, guys. That's what it's going to come down to, and you can tell that's, he's preaching it already because he knows he's got to get these guys more physical.
Grayson and Craig and Paul and anyone listening, Armstrong, the thing that to me was the most egregious last year, we could talk about whatever the offense was doing, running or whatever. They were physically manhandled most of the time.
Yeah.
They were.
Even by a team like Texas, who they had physically whipped the hell out of the year before, and it was like the shoe had, turned.
And I hated it for Corey Campbell, but you have to make decisions. No different than you did at offensive coordinator or what you do at this and that. Some guys move on because they have a better opportunity. Sometimes you just have to make decisions. But we'll see now. Again, this is day one, and there's a lot more to go. And I know you're going to go back out there and try to get some things from Dave Aranda. Be interested to see what he has to say, along with some players as well. All right. Anything, Armstrong? Any questions for Craig or Paul and Grayson as far as practice? Anything else you want to throw in? Please just talk.
Yeah, so I guess some quick notes. Matt Jones, who played
linebacker.
Yeah, he played some outside linebacker last year, played the jack role, and then also played a little bit of interior linebacker, Mike or Will. It looks like he's going to be playing the Mike or Will spot going forward because he was not working with the jack linebackers at that position. So I found that to be an interesting nugget. Trying to think what else happened out there. You got to see Drew Estrada. He looks the part, a young, an older guy who's come in from Dartmouth, the grad transfer.
Does he have a towel around his waist? He seemed like one of those guys that probably wears the towel.
I didn't notice, but I was thinking the same thing, that he would have a towel. Yeah. But quick routes, guys, really quick routes. He's going to be a guy that's going to be a problem in the slot, might even play some outside. So I was impressed by him. Apu Ika, that guy's huge. Reminds me a little bit of Bravion Roy. Just from the frame part of him. I would say, though, I think Bravion, by the time Bravion was a senior, his body was right, and you could just tell it wasn't as much, fat. It was like muscle. I think Ika still has a little bit to go to get to where Bravion was as a senior. So some to note there. And then, those were the main notes. The quarterbacks look good. The offensive line still.
I never looked at the running backs. Did you?
I didn't even see them.
I didn't see them
out there.
I wasn't looking for them.
They have them in bubble wrap. They're all in bubble wrap.
Ebner was catching punts. He was doing special teams.
I thought I saw Squirrel, but I'm not positive it was Squirrel. But it was a shorter,
speaking of bubble wrap,
lighter player
wearing red
with the injury jersey and had longer hair, and it looked a lot like Squirrel. But I would have asked Taylor, but when I was actually seeing him, Taylor wasn't around. And then I didn't think about it later on because that would be news that he's even attempting to practice at this point, you would think. But I don't know what the timeline and all that kind of jazz is. But, it looked like him. And if not, he's got a twin on the team.
Yeah, and that was good to see. There were only like 5 guys in red shirts.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, every year that I've been able to go to practice, it seems like there's, 10 guys wearing red shirts every time you go out to practice. There were significantly less. So
I still think, and I know this is probably not fair to Iowa State, if Squirrel doesn't go down, do they win the game in Ames?
Ooh, maybe.
They might.
Yeah,
they didn't have an answer for him.
No, they
didn't have an answer for him. So
even if they would have made some adjustments, and then it still was a close game,
they for sure would have beaten Texas Tech if they had scored.
Yeah.
No doubt about that.
Yeah. All right. Now tomorrow, do it again.
Yep. Do it all over again.
Grayson, this is like you're look at you, look at a little smile, Craig. I know Craig.
You are too, man. It's exciting.
No, it is. We are talking about something that we took for granted, and also something we haven't seen in 18 months.
Informed opinion.
Yes.
Last year it was. I mean, you might as well like thrown bones out like a voodoo and been like, well, the bone's telling me this is going to happen.
Yeah, that's
right. The best we had.
Ouija board or something.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, they looked the part. And then again, I want to be careful and not act like the American Gladiators are out there practicing because we haven't seen these guys in over a year. So they may just look bigger in general, but there's definitely some guys like Dabney, like Kyron, and
Garmin Randolph, Victor Obi,
that all look way bigger than they were. And you told me, because I asked you, I was like, who the heck, Kyron Jones? Like, how big is he? And you said he's about as, like, that's kind of what he is, but he's maybe gained about a little less than 10 pounds.
I remember when we were here, you and I and Kyron in the studio one day, and his family, and it took me aback at how, even as a high school senior, he was already a pretty big dude.
Right. So I believe when he was a junior, when I first started talking to him, he was probably 205 pounds. I would say when he was here that time, he was probably around 215. And so 222 is what he weighs now, probably 3 pounds in each bicep. That sounds about right for what happened with him. But he is more physically imposing than Gary Bohannon, which is crazy because Gary Bohannon just, looks like a tank, but he's bigger.
That's awesome.
Pretty crazy.
All right. Let's see. Tomorrow, you guys going back at 5:40 or 5:30, whatever. We'll have more when we come back. Thank you, Grayson, for being in studio, and Craig for both being at practice. It's just nice to have it. What a great setup. We're like a mile. Less than a mile from I guess about a mile from football practice, right?
Although, while we are physically less than a mile from football practice, we're like 16 miles from actually driving to football practice because of all of the roads that are closed or changed up.
We will have to bring out the helicopter.
It's crazy.
We need it.
We'll have to bring out the
it's literally like in normal circumstances, I'd go boop, boop, and I'm there basically. And in this case, I'm going all around downtown. I'm going through shopping centers, and it's horrible. Crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's bad. It's not going to get any better. So, we'll have Craig and Craig and Grayson at practice later today, and maybe be able to fire something back before we end the show. Coming up next, we'll have John Machota, the Athletic, on the Cowboys, their decision on Aldon Smith, and then Dan Lust from Sports Law about the Supreme Court discussing name, image, and likeness, and Deshaun Watson's story. All of that and more. SicEm365 Radio. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. Right now, the championship drive on the dealership continues throughout the month of March. Certified by J.D. Power again this year as the winner of the Customer First Award for Excellence for the dealership. March is Ram Truck Month on all new trucks. Ram, a three-peat winner of the Motor Trend Truck of the Year. Back-to-back years. The 2021 Ram, 1,500 loan, Star Crew Cab. Values of $7,000 or 0% financing for 84 months. Also, Alan Samuels is also your Texas Commercial Trucks headquarters. The Ram 3500, 5500 chassis cabs, and other great work trucks as well. The 2020 Dodge Charger SXT, 6170 in values, $3,000 combo cash or 0% for 72 months on the Dodge Performance Days, and the Jeep Celebration event. Oh, my goodness, the Grand Cherokee right now is just, they can't keep them enough. They have them, but people are buying those left and right, including the Jeep Cherokee Latitude, $6,000 total values of 0% for 84 months. It's Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new Lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Texas Board Certified Personal Injury Trial Lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. In a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John Machota of The Athletic, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
Prescott going end zone. It's caught for the touchdown. Dalton Schultz.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments, with financial advisor Brad Wilson. Investing is time and experience back to you and your money during today's changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
One note on Baylor before we get to John Machota. Michigan and Baylor in the Sweet 16, the women's game down in San Antonio inside the Alamo Dome. I think it's the south part of it. Will be Saturday at 2 o'clock. So Michigan and Baylor in the Sweet 16 will play on Saturday at 2 o'clock in the Alamo Dome. That is a Sweet 16 game. The winner will move on to play against most likely UConn. although there's some other team. I forgot who's on the other bracket. Paul can tell you that in a minute.
I cannot.
We'll have Dan Lust, sports law. He'll join us in the next segment on the Supreme Court, name, image, likeness, the latest information on that, and also Deshaun Watson's story. And now John Machota, theathletic.com, who's nice enough to be patient with us today on the Cowboys as well. John, were you surprised? I guess not surprised. Was there any temptation in bringing Aldon Smith back?
I'm sure there was a little bit. I'm not surprised that he's not coming back. So, one, his play tailed off during the season. And another is that I don't know that he's the best fit if you're going back to a 4-3 defense. And then, also there's, some off the field concerns there as well. So no, I mean, not a huge surprise at all. The other thing is too, is that you didn't really hear much interest in him from other teams. And, the way he started the season, you were thinking, oh, this guy's going to get paid next March. And then it just kind of tailed off. It just, and the other thing is if the Cowboys aren't, willing to pay him, then I don't know who else will be, because one, they're willing to take a little bit more chances, with guys with off the field issues more so than most teams. And the other is, it's not like they just have this plethora of great edge rushers that they just are like, we don't need anymore. We're all set here. So, when they signed, Terrell Basham, the other day, that's when I kind of was like, yeah, they're probably move on from Aldon Smith, because let's be honest, they haven't really addressed edge rusher in the draft. At least high in the draft since 2017 with Taco Charlton. And, DeMarcus Lawrence ain't getting any younger, and Randy Gregory's only got 1 year left on his deal, and Dorrance Armstrong's only got 1 year left on his deal. I just think they got to get younger at that position, and Aldon Smith wasn't helping them get younger. So it probably won't be at pick 10, but I would look for them to possibly add an edge rush for the second or third round this year.
With Keanu Neal looking like he's probably going to play maybe weak side linebacker, do you think there's a chance that they sign two of the three safeties that they brought in today, and Curse, Hooker, and Kazee?
I think it all comes down to however their medicals went today. If they got some, really good information back, let's say on Kazee or Hooker, obviously they had the Achilles injuries last year, which, as you guys know, those can sometimes be a career ender, or, you can be like Kevin Durant and look like it never even affected you. But I don't think that's the norm. But I think if let's say Malik Hooker checks out medically, I would think he makes the most sense as a center fielder type safety like that. They can make plays on the back end. But then Kazee makes sense too, because of the fact of his just ties with Dan Quinn. So, but to answer your question, I don't think they will. I think that's another position with 10 draft picks. I think that, you add another young safety in the draft. So you add another one of those guys there. You already have Donovan Wilson. You mix in Keanu Neal. I still, all the reports that I've seen about him potentially, being a weak side linebacker, like you mentioned, I think he'll work in there, and I think you'll see him play in there. But I think he's going to play some safety too. I think he's going to be kind of a Swiss Army knife there for that defense. So, hey, I guess just put it this way: it just seems like they're addressing safety a little bit more than they have in previous years. So that seems to be a good sign.
With the draft around the corner, John, how many tweets are you getting where they're mentioning the names Patrick Surtain or J.C. Horn from South Carolina?
A lot, especially with J.C. Horn having his pro day today and Surtain yesterday. So my thing with Patrick Surtain is that I really like the bloodline, and having a dad that obviously excelled at the game, and then not only that, just the fact that he was thrown to the wolves right from the very beginning in Alabama, where Nick Saban doesn't always do that. You got to be a pretty special player for Nick Saban to. And particularly at defensive back, because that's Nick Saban's expertise. He hasn't thrown a guy out there that he doesn't know for sure can handle it. And so I'm a big Patrick Surtain fan. I mean, if you tell me he's there at 10, I think that's a no-brainer. I just really like the way he would fit on one side opposite Trayvon Diggs, and that just the tandem that you could potentially have there for the next, 5-8 years. I know there's questions about speed with both of them, Diggs and Surtain, or neither of them are, you would classify as a burner, so you'd have maybe some issue there, but I like the way Surtain plays the game. I really like the way watching Alabama games this past season, just the way opposing coaches would talk about Patrick Surtain, and just like, I remember Brian Kelly before that college football playoff game saying, we told our guys straight up, we're not throwing it. Whoever he's on, we're not throwing the ball to that guy. And so I just think he's a really solid player across the board. He's not Jalen Ramsey, but you wouldn't get him at 10 if that happened. So I think if Patrick Surtain's there, I think he has to be the pick.
Yeah, that's does his pro day yesterday in any way make it even more difficult that he gets to Dallas?
It could, but for that to be the case, that would almost make me think that one of the quarterbacks would have to fall out of the top 10. And it seems like everybody's in love with these quarterbacks that that you're going to see 4 of them gone before the Cowboys are on the clock. Then you mix in Kyle Pitts, the tight end from Florida. I think that's one of the safest bets. He'll be gone by then. And then you throw in 3 wide receivers, an offensive tackle, possibly 2 offensive tackles. I mean, now there's a chance. Hey, I think it's pretty clear that, the Cowboys would be very interested in Patrick Surtain. Mike McCarthy was at his pro day, and I think people know that the Cowboys could use another starting corner. So maybe a team is willing to trade up, maybe to 8 or 9 to get in front of the Cowboys to get him. And if that's the case, then maybe you look at J.C. Horn, or maybe you look at trading back because maybe you don't value the other guys as much, certainly with Caleb Farley having to have the back procedure now. So I think if Patrick Surtain isn't there, I think their best bet is to probably move back 5, 6, 7 spots. But, we'll see when that comes about. But, man, if they're sitting there and those first 9 picks go the way most of these mock drafts are, where it's all offensive guys, and the Cowboys have their pick of the first defensive player in this entire draft class, and Patrick Surtain makes a lot of sense.
John, that they were thrilled to hear about Caleb Farley getting surgery, because that means that they can just draft him in the second round. They've done that a million times. Drafted hurt guys in the second round.
Yeah, absolutely. They certainly have developed that reputation. And frankly, I mean, you obviously don't want a guy that's coming off of back surgery at 10, but man, if he falls to 44, well, I don't know. I don't know if that's the worst thing. I will say this though. I don't know if that would be the consideration if they already took a corner at 10. The draft experts that I follow, Dane Brugler, obviously at The Athletic, is being one of them. It certainly seems like if they don't get a corner there at 10, or even if they move back, it seems like early in the second round that there'll be plenty of talent. I mean, they got Trayvon Diggs last year at 51, so there should be guys there. And I'd be surprised. I really would be surprised if we get through the first 2 rounds of this draft and the Cowboys don't have a cornerback.
John, thank you. Appreciate your time, and thanks for being patient with us. Every week there's something new, and we appreciate John Machota. TheAthletic.com, it is a great website. It is a great website. It's the only one of everyone that's available that I actually will pay for a little bit each month. It's not much. Bruce Feldman, Stuart Mandel, and I don't agree with a lot of Stuart Mandel.
There's only 2 websites you should pay for. 1, SicEm365. 2, The Athletic.
Well, I don't pay for the one we're on because we're members.
I'm just saying, I don't want people to get the wrong idea.
Yeah, or the wrong idea from Jim Boeheim when he said nothing on the internet ever written is. No, we just gave you full throttle for 2 hours plus, and we're not done. Now we get into Deshaun Watson, the allegations, the story, the attorneys, the law, with Dan Luss, sports law advisor and expert. He's an attorney. And then also Craig and Grayson headed back to Baylor, and we'll try to see what we can get before we go off at 6, and this is SicEm365 Radio.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Qualified buyer, see dealer for details.
The anniversary sales event is happening now at Richard Carr. 22 years in Central Texas is worth celebrating with big savings on all cars and trucks. Savings like $3,500 off a 2021 Buick Envision or Buick Encore GX. Save $6,000 off a 2021 Buick Enclave. Save $6,500 off a 2021 GMC Train or GMC Acadia. Come by for prize giveaways and deep anniversary discounts on every car or truck on the lot. It's the anniversary sales event going on now at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
Let
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T is board-certified physician consultations, will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's the 22nd year anniversary sales event going on now at Richard Carr.
5:28 is the time. All sorts of moving parts, and we hope those of you who watch and or listen SicEm365 Radio understand that every day we try to bring you as much as we possibly can that piques your interest, maybe even something or two that you're not interested in, but you become interested in it. And obviously love to get your feedback on the text line 254-339-1122, not just on topics of sports, but also ideas you have. And you could also direct message me on the site, SicEm365.com, in the premium section. I've responded to many of you on that as well. Dan Luss, sports law attorney. This guy has been with us. We've had now sports law Luss many times on a lot of stories. And now there's 2 or 3 that are going full throttle, including Deshaun Watson and the Texans and the allegations and the attorneys. And Dan, thank you so much. I know we moved you back a little bit for your patience with us today. So have you ever seen anything like this as far as that you can remember? I'm sure in everyday society, but a huge quarterback in the middle of all this. And I mean, I don't even know who to believe.
Yeah, first of all, thank you guys for having me back on. I mean, the truth is, I haven't seen a case like this from a litigation sense, from, I don't know, a sports sense in a number of years. So the truth is this, I mean, it's not really that typical what we're seeing on the civil side with an attorney like Tony Busby filing 16 lawsuits in the course of a little less than a week. Yeah, I mean, it's really just kind of a media circus at this point.
Yeah, Dan, I mean, from Rusty Hardin's point of view, you usually get one lawsuit you have to. It takes a lot of time. How do you do all this, especially without knowing a lot of the alleged victims' names and all the things that have gone into this? Dan, you there? Hold on.
We lost you for a second. There you go.
The truth, you guys are hinting at something interesting. At least from, if you're believing the rumors, and I'm not really sure how to separate fact from fiction at this point, but there is a narrative out there that Tony Busby is not allowing Rusty Hardin to see the names and see who these individuals are that are accusing Deshaun Watson. Obviously, that's it's his prerogative. I don't know why that would be the case. Obviously, these names are going to come out during the course of discovery. But Rusty Hardin, in his statement, had a very interesting line. He basically said that Tony Busby is using confidentiality as both a sword and a shield. And I don't know if anyone's that familiar with this, but in at least Harris County, Texas, and most courts in our country, you can have a fully public complaint that's filed as Jane Doe versus the accused, right here, Deshaun Watson. But I've been pretty vocal about this. I'm not sure, obviously, a victim has a right to be confidential. But why is it that Deshaun Watson's name is put out there on blast before there's really any independent vetting of these claims? So maybe there's a system that should be confidential, John Doe versus Jane Doe, right? I'm not sure why Deshaun Watson is just being left out there to dry without really having any opportunity to legally defend himself with any type of legally filing. So probably a little bit early to say that he's guilty until proven innocent at this point.
How about what Deshaun Watson did with an emotional moment? And I can see when someone's being accused of something, he's a big, huge name, and he responded on Twitter. Was that a mistake?
You don't want to say it's a mistake because, I'm sure he wants to go out there and defend himself. And you hear anytime there's a big case where someone's exonerated, they always say, I wish I could have said something sooner. What did Watson say? I mean, it wasn't really that terrible. He just said he didn't feel he was guilty of these first crimes from this first accuser. So, that's obviously, it's not necessarily saying anything so controversial. He's saying that there was a six-figure settlement put on the table and he declined to accept it. And that's Watson telling you, hey, I think I'm innocent of these charges. So, yeah, if I'm his attorney, I'm telling him to lay off, right? Don't say anything. There's nothing that you can say that will help you at this point in the case. And let your attorney, right? Let me do the talking for you. So Rusty Hardin's statement that came out yesterday, I thought it was very good. He's kind of picking at Tony Busby's media circus that he's created. And he said, hey, one of these cases, one of them that's been filed so far, we know it to be false. And that can cast him out on the other 16 claims. So, you're paying the big bucks to Rusty Hardin, right? Who's defended James Harden and Adrian Peterson and Roger Clemens. You're paying the big guns. Let them do the work for you.
Is it unusual for, especially so many different people, to make reports in a civil suit and then the attorney then turn that evidence over to police before the police would get it in even one of these cases?
It's not that typical. No. And again, it's human nature here. If there is something that equates to a crime, that's what the police are here for, right? You report crimes to the police. Now, is it possible that one person didn't want to go to the police for whatever reason? Sure. Two, sure. Three, go on. But 24 individuals and not one of them to go to the police, it's not necessarily that typical. And then for all of those individuals to all go to the same law firm, again, not so typical, right? Usually there's different accusers with different firms. But I will say, to give Tony Busby a little bit of credit here, he's made himself very accessible because he's essentially tried this case on social media. Right, he's not really trying it through the media. He's trying it on Instagram and Facebook Live at this point between the two of them. So, yeah, he's obviously at this point, he's a very good marketer. He's bringing plaintiffs to his case. But what we did see on Monday is that Busby is submitting affidavits to, the Houston Police Department, Houston DA's office to try to fashion a criminal case out of this and bring it to the grand jury. So, again, I'm not saying anything that's that crazy, but why wouldn't an attorney bring a case to the DA's office? One of two reasons, right? You could have an Antonio Brown situation when you bring it to the DA's office and they don't want to accept the charges, which happened with Antonio Brown, which doesn't really paint the civil case in a good light. Or two, you have a civil case without going to the DA, because then you could say, listen, if you pay me these six figures, I'm not going to cooperate with the police and the case is going to go away. And you lose that a little bit if you go to the DA's office. You lose that leverage in settlement. So, yeah, I know that Tony Busby has said time and time again, this is not about money, but, actions do speak louder than words. And this is probably exactly what you would do if this was about money.
At Dan, at Sports Law Lust, Dan Lust, someone that reached out to me, or I'd seen him discussing some things and reached out to Dan. He's been on with us a handful of times. Also at Detrimental podcast. Super Lawyers Rising Star. He's also working as an analyst for ESPN, Sirius XM, CBS, and Fox Sports, but most importantly for SicEm365 Radio as well. Now, Dan, I'm not really good when it comes to legal things, but I got a question, and it may not be fair, and I'm not trying to be unfair, but could Tony Busby be doing this for Tony Busby?
If you just want to read the Instagram post, that looks a lot like what he's doing, because he is, using his Instagram post to give us real updates about the case. But just reading his post, these are blended with these kind of nonsensical boasting about himself and his practice, about how he's made so much money he doesn't need to work another day in his life, right? And he's posting about how he hates football fans. So I don't know what relevance that could possibly have to the case. And I think over the weekend, this is just my reading of it, and someone can tell me otherwise, but he posted on Instagram, according to a well-known civil defense or criminal defense attorney, he gave him some advice to take this to the DA's office. So I think that someone has popped into his ear and basically said, Tony, stop making this case about you. Give it to the DA's office, right? That would be the appropriate way to deal with the case.
Rusty Hardin, who's representing Deshaun Watson, I noticed yesterday he mentioned that they have evidence that one of the allegations or one of the cases they have evidence is just basically a fraud, but there are 16 or 20 plus that appear that have at least 16 that so far have been filed. If he can shoot one a hole in one, does that mean the others go away, or is that just him trying to build the defense for Deshaun?
As they say, there is strength in numbers, and I think you'd be kind of living under a rock if you didn't think that 24 accusers coming forward, that there wasn't some modicum of credibility. And I guess just to kind of take a left turn for a second, the NFL's standard for punishment is something called credible evidence. So 24 women come forward with accusations, 16 file lawsuits. Is there some credible evidence that a crime occurred? Sure. And the NFL has suspended guys for much less. But I think strength in numbers goes only so far. If you paint the case as, hey, all for one and one for all, and then, if Rusty Hardin can really take the legs out of one of these more serious charges, which he seems to be trying to do, and we could get into how he's doing it. But, I think it's going to, it has a sense of it could backfire, right, on Busby. If all of these cases are, tied together and one of them is false, right, that's going to put a seed of doubt into any of the other cases. So that's when there's a term, poisoning the jury pool. That's the danger of litigating a case in the press, right? If something goes wrong, everyone's going to know about it with the same veracity, right, and the same kind of forcefulness as you put the case in the press. They're going to know about those downfalls, and that's why people are kind of bringing up the McNair family connection. They're bringing up billboards that he put up for Johnny Manziel for the Texans to draft him back in the day. So Tony Busby is making the case about Tony Busby, and people are kind of poking holes in that ship.
Well, and is that why Rusty Hardin can throw out one of those in the media that we think there might be extortion in this case, and then he's kind of also dipped some poison in that pool?
Yeah, this is the statement yesterday. I mean, the statement, in addition to saying obviously innocent until proven guilty and all that fun stuff, he said one of the 14, which it was 14 at the time, essentially agreed that this was a consensual act between two adults, Deshaun Watson, one of the Jane Does, and then for whatever reason, after the consensual act, according to Watson's camp, propositioned Watson's camp to pay her $30,000, and this is why Rusty Hardin used it, and very purposefully in that affidavit. They accused them of extortion from a consenting sexual act between two adults, and they're calling it extortion, blackmail, whatever you want to call it. So if that's what the MO is of Rusty Hardin's camp, that's gonna cast a lot of doubt on these things. If they can really knock one of these off, I'm sure they're going to be paying PIs and investigators to see if there's any other modicums of proof to any of these other 16 cases. So the truth is, until the DA's office picks this up, these cases were solely vetted by Tony Busby's law firm. They were not vetted by an independent third body, right? So until the DA's office says, hey, we're going to take this case on, we believe we can get a conviction here, I think we really do have to try not to convict Watson in the court of public opinion. If the DA's office again comes in, maybe you're leaning more towards potential culpability, but again, it's a little premature at this point. All
right, one more thing, Dan, and thanks for your time tonight. The Supreme Court will have oral arguments, Alston versus the NCAA antitrust case. How important is that date? What does that date mean as we see the timeline continue?
Yeah, I mean, there's a case, Board of Regents versus NCAA, 1984 case. You know, you guys might not have heard of it, the listeners might not, but that's the last time that college sports was on trial at the Supreme Court level. And what did that case do, guys? That's the reason that we have college football on like 100 stations. It was a question as to whether or not the NCAA could control the college football schedule and just have, you know, that one national spotlight game a day. So they questioned whether the NCAA had the right to control antitrust laws and prevent television from spreading. And the NCAA lost that, and that allowed this boom of college football. So right now, guys, what do we have on trial? College athletes' rights and the right to be paid. And the NCAA is facing another antitrust challenge. So, you know, we've been talking about that case in law schools around the country for 40 years, how Board of Regents changed the college football television contract. And then this case really does have the potential to chip away at the NCAA's amateurism model and be a case that people talk about for 40 years. And if you're just reading the tides of college sports, I mean, there's a lot of momentum behind getting college athletes paid. And another win at the highest sport in our land, that'll go a long way to shifting the tide.
All right. Hey, man, Dan, you're the best. Appreciate you so much for being a part of what we do and giving us knowledge on the inside of these stories. Appreciate it. Have a great night.
Always a pleasure, guys.
Dan Lust. And I'm telling you right now, the Con Detrimental, which is the podcast that he does, is very informative. And I've also, whenever he's on, for example, I see some of the tweets that come up with him. He's really good. Sports Law Lust is at Lust, his last name, on Twitter. He did a good job of putting that in framing of not letting Deshaun Watson off the hook, but also not condemning. That's how we need to look at this. We need to be like, oh, something's going on with Deshaun Watson, and he's right. Like there's that many victims. Something weird happened somewhere along the line, but what that was, we don't know yet. And I'll be interested to see when and if the DA picks up this case, what it really centers on. Yeah, I agree. Craig and Grayson at practice. I keep saying this because we're coming up on a year from when we opened up this show on April the 6th, and we had the 1 year anniversary of how it got to this point, or why it got to this point. And, you know, Armstrong's here. He weaves in and out of two shows and what we do in the afternoon. Grayson here, Craig here. They're at practice. We have what we had from Maceo Teague and Scott Drew. I'll be in Indianapolis starting really, really late on Thursday night, and then being there for the show on Friday, and perhaps we'll see how long it might be. They play Villanova on Saturday. Paul's going to, when the women get to that game with UConn, I'm probably going to be in San Antonio to cover the Elite Eight game. And then, of course, we'll continue all these spring drills. Do you have him on a singular camera picture? No. Armstrong just disappeared on me, like scared to look at the set. Yeah. And by the way, if things don't go well Saturday with Villanova, I'm sure I'll be the one that flies to San Antonio. Someone's got to do this job. But the point is, we're trying to bring you different angles of different things, and it's fun. And this is what it's about. We appreciate you for listening and also consuming what we have throughout. And we've got a lot of the podcasts that will be up either on the Twitter timelines or also in the premium section, SicEm365.com. Coming up next, we'll see where Grayson and Paul were staying here.
No, I mean, like, I'm knocking wood.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. We may not. If they're running late, we're not going to get anything for the day. We'll have it for tomorrow, but also then have it again tomorrow. Danny Manning, LaFonso Ellis, and more has been part of what you, I guess, have heard and listened to. It's great to see Danny Manning on Zoom. Great job, Armstrong, making that happen. Thanks to Mueller Sports Medicine. This is SicEm365 Radio.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham at the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas, familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasonings, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Texas Board Certified Personal Injury Trial Lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recall drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at TexasTrialLawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Abilene Christian, President Dr. Phil Schubert, this is a story in SI.com, estimates that the school's improbable NCAA victory has netted them well over $100 million. So far, we're close to $100 million plus. We really haven't had time to tally up the totals. He actually spoke to the Fort Worth Star-Telegram about this. Their Cinderella, of course, came to an end with UCLA beating them by 20. You can say what you want, but Abilene Christian beat the University of Texas less than 48 hours ago. Joe Golding, the head coach, mentioned, I hope people learn about ACU. It's a special place. $120 million doesn't mean cash in hand. What it means is the marketing value of people hearing their name that may never have ever heard of them. So imagine what Oral Roberts is getting. So now they're in the Sweet 16. But also you would think there would be some sort of an uptick in enrollment.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, athletics is the front porch of your university, and people want to go to places where cool stuff happens. I mean, it's helped Baylor, them getting their name out there. each step of the way that the good things have happened. It helps everywhere.
No question.
Yeah, because
sometimes even if it's bad, you're still getting publicity. You'd rather it not be.
But especially, I mean, athletic success, when your team is winning, when you can go and you can be able to tell your friends that go to the rival school, we won and you didn't, that's a big deal. And then it's fun to be a part of. So,
if you're an Abilene Christian alum, and let's say you don't have much to give, but, you probably always, I bet if you, for example, you may write $1,000 check when you weren't going to write anything.
Well, I mean, think about
if you're going to run a $100,000 check now, you maybe write $250,000.
But also, I think those micro donations go up a lot too because, I can just tell you, I'm part of the Seminole Boosters, and I've been at the lowest level for the longest time, and I haven't upped my donation because I haven't seen them do anything worthwhile with it in a little bit. But I do think that. I remember, when I joined, it was in January 7th, 2013 or 2014 after they won the title, after, Kelvin Benjamin caught that pass. I'm on the Seminole Boosters website. And so I wasn't going to give them a lot of money, but I just wanted to be a part of it. And so, you're going to get, $180 or $225 a year from some people, but they weren't doing it before. So if you're Abilene Christian and then all of a sudden 1,000 of your alums decide to give you $150, I mean, heck.
When SFA made their run under Brad Underwood, and then they had the coaching change to Kyle Keller, who I've known forever, 20-something years, Kyle Keller asked me about whether I buy a block of tickets. And I said, I'll do it only if you give those tickets to those who otherwise would not be able to go to a game. It's not like SFA tickets to go watch basketball is expensive. So I bought a clump of tickets. And, and put it down. I think, I can't remember the number, but I think it was probably $800. So I sent SFA, and they gave the tickets out to underprivileged children or those who couldn't go. And I don't think, honestly, I'll be honest, I don't know if I don't do that, although I like the cost, if they hadn't been good. Mm-hmm. So there's an example. And that $800 to some guy that owns oil wells or some booster that's an attorney or a doctor means nothing. That's like a nickel to him. But money is money. ACU, SFA, Sam Houston State, or even if it's a monster university like Florida, Alabama, Oklahoma, Texas, or Michigan, right? Yeah. All right.
Yeah, and all you need is one of those big alums gets finally excited that you hasn't picked up the phone, answer the phone in a while.
I agree.
You're sitting pretty.
So I had the poll a couple of days ago, and I mentioned what was the two most important positions, and it was basically a 50-50 split, quarterback and offensive line. And I think I even had a couple of people in the football department say, I think you're probably right, because the other one's at like 0.1%. Football Bob, our good friend Gary, he said, after the performance of the offense in 2020, I believe David should have included a selection for all of the above. Everything on offense, not just specific positions, the whole damn thing, the whole side of the ball. Every aspect of the offensive side of the ball is critical for their success this year. The critical nature of the offensive line has been discussed. The quarterback position has to replace a very effective but highly criticized multi-year starter, and on and on and on. The mostly running backs, of course, the wide receivers was mostly disappointing in 2020 for various reasons, but it also has to be on them as well. And then the running backs have to find out which guys can fight from start to finish. Ebner, Squirrel, whoever.
If the offensive coaches walked into that room and said, who feels like they had a great year last year? Who can raise their hand without them going, really, buddy? Really? And there are many problems for it, and they don't need to do that. I mean, but I don't think this is a group of guys that needs to be brought back down to earth. But yeah, you couldn't walk into that room and be like, all right, everybody but you can come and you get to hang out. You did well. No, everybody had their parts in not having that great of a year. Now, there were guys that had better years than others. I think R.J. Sneed, I mean, I don't think there were too many lulls from him, but, if I can pick out one or two guys and then the rest of them I have to say really look inward, yeah, I mean, it's tough. Now, on the defense, you have that same conversation on the defense of like, hey, the first guys in line at the pizza party, the guys who had great years last year, I mean, that's 15, 16 guys down the roster, all had really good years, starters and backups. So But offensively, I don't think anybody is winning that award.
All right. I don't think we're going to probably have time to get – we have 5 minutes left.
Yeah, they still haven't started, so.
And that's fine. It's the first day. It's part of the deal. We appreciate the fact that we even have a chance to have a part of that. Hey, Armstrong, on the link you sent me with Danny Manning, the sponsor doesn't – I don't know what – they can't get YouTube. I'll send you the email. I don't know what that means, but I don't know how we're going to turn that around because I think we got more coming from them too if we can. Is that what? Have you ever heard of that?
Never in my born days have I heard of someone not being able to get YouTube, but I will work with them.
Okay, yes, the entire
just send them the video.
They would like to present what you guys put on at a sales meeting Friday. So.
Yeah, they probably want to do something to the raw video file, so just email them I
can do that.
But it can't be Twitter either.
Yeah, just he's going to send you the video file.
Okay, good.
File.
All right, good.
Yeah, he's going to send you the actual file.
I'll tell you this. After we were done with the Danny Manning segment, I called Chris Visser, who's helped set it up. And I don't need to say this, but they were blown away by the segment. We appreciated Danny Manning, Mueller Sports Medicine as well, and the setup we have here. So, obviously, that's Colt, Ashley, and Brian as well.
Hey, Mueller Sports Medicine wants to do anything. You send us whatever breaks. I'll wear them on the air. I don't care.
Thank you to IdealMRI.com, Southwest Sports Medicine, Orthopedics, Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Marco's Pizza, U.S. Army, Waco Recruiting Company, also the Willis Law Firm. Glad to have them back. Thank you, David. Richard Carr, Buick, GMC, Cadillac, and the Nitsche Group, First National Bank of Central Texas. I will fly tomorrow evening from Waco, and I'll be in Indianapolis by the end of the night. Paul sets me up with these wonderful flight times. And I'll get to Indy sometime late Thursday and a half. And so then I'll broadcast from Indianapolis Friday. If Baylor wins, I'll be at the game Saturday. If they win, we'll see what we do with some sort of a combination post game with Ashley from wherever he is and where I might be. And then on top of that, if Baylor is fortunate enough and they win, then I'll be there Monday as well. So we have that going on, plus the women in San Antonio with their 2 o'clock Saturday game against the University of Michigan, and then the possibility Monday, if they keep winning, to play UConn. Man, it's fun, huh? We've sent the nomination forms to area high school counselors for the 11th annual Academic All-Stars team, and we will find 20 elite student athletes who excel in both academic and athletic competition from Central Texas high schools. Hello, everyone. This is David Smoak. Our title sponsor is Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952. The 2021 Academic All-Stars program is also brought to you by Westdale Asset Management, Englander Design Pack, Southwest Sports Medicine, Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Coca-Cola of Waco, Ray Broker Air Conditioning and Heating, Texas Sports Hall of Fame, HEB, the McLean Group, Universal Windows Direct, Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, and the Waco Foundation are 501c3. Nomination deadlines March 31st. We'll eventually announce the team on Monday, May 3rd. Honor them at our annual banquet on Wednesday, May the 19th. It's the 11th annual Academic All-Stars team highlighting the elite student athletes in Central Texas right here on SicEm365 Radio.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
March marks 22 years for Richard Carr Motors. Celebrate with big savings going on now during the anniversary sale event.